Guys, today modern AI is quite advanced, except two problems. It is censored and it takes your information. Well, it's hard to find a tech company that don't, but let me introduce you to one. Shout out to my sponsor, Venice AI, which allows you to protect your information and avoid censorship. Now ask yourself, why should a team of programmers at these leading AI apps be the ones to decide what is okay for you to ask and think? Also, would you be comfortable if the presidential administration could govern what AI tells you? Man, I know I wouldn't. But also, while you think about that, did you know that? Let me tell you this, it's gonna be crazy, but ChatGPT has a former director of the NSA sitting on their board right now, guys. And shout out to that man, Edward Snowden. He called this a willful, calculated betrayal of the rights of every person on Earth. And we all know how Alexa is. Alexa listens to us and recommends products based on our conversations. I mean, talk about a violation of privacy. But guys, these are just a few reasons I decided to team up with Venice AI and get you a better options or solutions to your AI needs. Now, guys, you can go ahead and check these guys out with my promo code. So shout out to Venice AI. Now, if you want to use AI without fear of handing over your most intimate thoughts to a corporation or government, you can get 20% off a pro plan using my link, Venice AI S.E.T, and use the code S.E.T. Man, so shout out, guys. So make sure you guys use the code. Put it up one more time for you guys right there. Once again, guys, if you guys want to go ahead and have unleashed AI, uncensored AI, go ahead and tap in with my guys at Venice AI, guys. Hey, this is S.E.T and appreciate the support. And shout out to the sponsor. And we are live. Yo, this is S.E.T with S.E.T Media, guys, and I'm back with another one for you. All right, we're about to get into Trump taking questions after he signed those executive orders on the banning of flag burning. And then we're going to go get into immediate analysis because we definitely got to get into the school shooting. I'm happy that mostly everybody made it out. Sadly, there was only two children. There was two children that was killed. We'll definitely get into that, and our prayers definitely do go out to the friends and family members of those affected. All right, guys, let's get into it.
Defenders, I don't know if you people want to standing behind me. If you take a little vote, if you want to change it back to what it was when we used to win wars all the time, that's okay with me. All right,
that's coming.
You let me know if you want to do it. I think Department of War. It just sounded bad. He said, "Sir, on behalf of the Department of Defense." Defense. I don't want to be defense only. We want defense, but we want offense too, if that's okay. So you'll make a decision. But as Department of War, we won everything. We won everything. And I think we're going to have to go back to that. In the meantime, I've stopped all of these wars. I've stopped them. The big one would have been India and Pakistan, but we stopped them all. We stopped 3 wars. Go to Africa. They like to say, I love black people. And I did great with the vote with the black people. But they say, he's a racist. He's a racist. I said, really? For 35 years, a war raged between Rwanda and the Republic of the Congo. And it was a vicious war. 9 million people were killed with machetes, largely.
I mean, let's be real. Trump was such a racist. Then why did he stop black people from dying? Why did he stop people all over the world from dying of different races? I'm like, Arab, black people. Like, come on now. You can't really sit there and call the man a racist when he put an end to a 30-year war that was killing who? Black people on both sides.
Hatchets, machetes. That went on for more than 30 years, but 34, 35 years. And I stopped it. In fact, the presidents are coming in a week or two to sign we have the foreign minister.
Actually, you know what? The next time somebody try to call Trump a racist, I'm be like, well, how many black deaths have you stopped? Please tell me. This man done stopped a generation of black deaths. What about you?
It's all signed, the war stopped. But I got it stopped and saved a lot of lives. The Congo. It's deep into deepest, darkest Africa. I got that war stopped. Nobody else could have done that. Man, we did a lot of jobs. We did a lot of wars were stopped that nobody thought would even be possible. And I'll tell you what, the war with India and Pakistan That was the next level. That was going to be a nuclear war. They already shot down 7 jets. That was raging. And I said, you guys want to do trade? We're not doing any trade. We're not doing anything with you. If you keep fighting, you get 24 hours to settle it. They said, well, there's no more war going. And I used that on numerous occasions. Trade. I used I used whatever you had to use. But we got 7 of them stopped. And the one I thought would be easiest, frankly, was going to be Russia and Ukraine. But that turns out to be some big personality conflicts. It's one of those things. But we're going to get that stopped eventually. We're going to get that stopped too. 7,000 soldiers died last week. Think of that, 7,000. I usually say 5,000, but 7,221 soldiers died last week in the fighting between Ukraine and Russia. Mm. And they're not our soldiers, but they're souls. They're living souls, and they leave their homes and they wave to their parents, and their parents are so proud as they leave in a beautiful uniform. And a week later, they get their head blown off by a drone. New form of military. It's a whole new form of fighting.
Yeah, it really is.
So I would just like to thank the people that are.
I mean, yeah, one thing that Ukraine and the Russian war kind of showed us is that the effectiveness of drones in warfare is phenomenal. I mean, to the Trojan horse tactic of using drones, to the like airstrike tactic of using drones, it's definitely revolutionized the way we do warfare. Ugh, sadly, I thought it'll be revolutionized maybe the way we, I don't know, like shoot, fly around in the sky. Look, when I first seen drones, it was like a toy that I always wanted. Now it's something that we use for warfare on a daily basis. It's tough, but I can't say I didn't see it coming.
Behind me, thank you very much. You've done a fantastic job. I appreciate it very much. We're doing a real job, and I'm so proud of DC. I passed it 2 days ago, and all the garbage is off the streets. It's terrible. I came in a month and a half ago. I'm driving down and I see garbage all over the place. The streets were a pigsty. Like I won't use the city's names, but you know what I'm talking about. There are
Brooklyn.
Plenty of them outside of this country and inside of this country. Baltimore is a horrible death.
Bro, no, Trump, you need to go to Brooklyn, New York. Like the rats, my friend, the rat. New York City in general. I'm like, bro, y'all need to clean that ish up.
It's a deathbed. I know Governor Moore said, oh, he wants to take a walk with me. He meant it in a derogatory tone. I said, no, I'm the president of the United States. Clean up your crime and I'll walk with you.
Nah, I'd have been an ass. I'd have been like, take me through Baltimore and I'll walk with you. No, take me to the worst parts of the city that you failed as governor. And then, I'll take that walk with you. Sure, but make sure we're definitely going with Secret Service and a bullet vest on. But let's do that. Let's go to the most, impoverished parts of your area and then talk that same issue as talking to me on X, please.
But it's tremendous crime. But he was trying to be derogatory. He doesn't have what it takes. But he's trying to be derogatory. And I met him at the Army-Navy game. They said, oh, there's Governor Moore. He'd love to see you. He came over to me. He hugged me, shook my hand. You were there. He said, sir, you're the greatest president of my lifetime. I said, it's really nice that you say that. I'd love you to say it publicly, but I don't think you can do that, so it's okay. But no, sir, you're doing a fantastic job. I want to just shake your hand. Thank you very much, Governor. That was it. And then every time I see him on television, he's knocking the hell out of me. So, but that's all right. That's called politics. But Governor Moore's he's doing a bad job. Newsom's doing a bad job. All of their potential candidates are doing a bad job. I can't imagine Pritzker being even a candidate, but somebody said he is. He can't do the work, can't do the job. He's not temperamentally suited. So I just want to thank you all for being here. Do you have some questions?
Yes, sir. Is the Pentagon, and maybe the Secretary of Defense can weigh into, is the Pentagon preparing for military deployment to Chicago? And with what you said there, are you waiting for the government?
We're ready to go anywhere. We have a full complement of.
No, they need to go to Chicago. Chicago definitely needs it. And you know what? If you don't think so, I got a 4-minute video for you that I'll play after this that will show you how bad it is in Chicago.
Great human beings. We're full. Our military is full. We were way empty 1 year ago. Now we're full. So we can go anywhere on less than 24 hours notice.
Are you waiting for the government?
And we're doing a lot to interdict to stop drugs from coming in too. We have ships out on sea. You know, we have nobody coming through our border anymore. Nobody. Doesn't that feel good to know that you don't have prisoners coming in and, you know, killers, murderers? We had 11,888 murderers come in, led in by the Biden administration. Many of them have been captured, but we still have a couple of thousand that are out there. Some of them, 50% of them killed more than one person. Okay, but a lot of them have been captured. What they've done to our country, these people that circle this moron that we had behind this desk, what they've done to our country is unthinkable. It's unthinkable. I mean, if you think so much of our time is devoted to correcting a problem that all they had to do is say, close the borders. Remember when he said, well, I have no power to close the border. I have to go back and get an act from Congress. I didn't get an act from Congress. I came in, I said, close the borders. And Tom Homan, who's not here, has been fantastic. Chris.
And it made the Dems look incompetent. I mean, they're talking about a border bill. They're crying about a border bill that Trump supposedly strike down, but Trump comes in here and he don't need no border bill or anything. He just upheld border policies. That's it. That's all he had to do was uphold immigration laws that were already there, and things worked out. So it did kind of show the incompetence of the left on that one. Oh God, we got 400 plus y'all here, man. Do me a favor, let's get the 50 likes. So go ahead and double tap that screen, like the video. Appreciate the support, by the way, but let's remember to double tap that screen.
Tom Homan is great. He's a fantastic man and respected by everybody. But I said, Tom, close the borders. Christie, close the borders. The borders were closed. We didn't go to Congress and get permission. We just closed the borders. And in the last 3 months, hard to believe this one too. In the last 3 months, we've had 0 people come into our country illegally through the southern border. Nobody would have said that's possible. Yeah, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today, MS-13 gangbanger and human trafficker Kilmar Abrego Garcia turned himself into ICE in Baltimore.
You know, just to save my Dem homies the breath. Alleged, not convicted, but alleged. He's on trial. He'll be, well, not on trial, but his trial starts on what, January 2026? Yeah. January 2026, so next year. And that's where we're gonna find out everything. The problem with here's the problem. If they're so sure that Abrego Garcia is innocent, then they should have let him take it to trial instead of trying to get the man released. Because we all know that if they try to release him, that ICE is gonna, capture him and try to deport him. And now they got Kilmar Garcia in a very bad predicament, whereas either you take a plea deal to go to court in Costa Rica or you don't, and we send your ass to Uganda. And we're talking about the feds here. I mean, 90% conviction rate, I believe 99. So 9 times out of 10, they got the evidence to prove it. And 9 times out of 10, the only reason he was released is because these radical judges. And they say that, oh, we looked over all the evidence and there was nothing there. Okay, we'll see when that comes to trial and we'll see what you guys been hiding. Because I'm pretty sure the prosecution is going to cook him on that. But if he is innocent, then they should have just let his ass, stay in jail, then go to trial, beat the case, and make the Trump administration look stupid.
Do you have any comment on this? And why are the Democrats so emotionally attached to this man who beats his wife and is part of a terrorist organization?
Because they think he's going to be good for votes, and I think he's very bad for votes. These people are deranged. He's not good for votes. He beat the hell out of his wife. I mean,
here's the thing. If he's proven guilty on everything that he's being accused of, then yes, this will be very bad because the Democrats did nothing but protect this man. So, yeah, and it's going to show that they did no investigation into him and they just rode on any guy that can make Trump look bad. Now they're all going to look stupid. That's the problem with Kilmar Garcia. I mean, like Dems, if this guy goes to trial and he's proved guilty, that means you guys literally protected a human trafficker, a pedophile, because he was selling child pornography. So where's y'all stance then on protecting a human trafficker and a child pedo and a wife beater? I mean, everything y'all stand against, you guys are protecting right now in this moment. Possibly if he's proved guilty.
Afraid to even talk about her. She's been mauled by this animal. And, through a system of liberal courts, he's doing things. But, no, we have that under control. And Pam has got that very much under control. Do you want to comment on it?
No, we've got him under control. He will no longer terrorize our country. He's currently charged with human smuggling, including children. The guy needs to be in prison. He doesn't need to be on the streets like all these liberals want them to be. And as part of this operation here in DC, we've also taken off MS-13 members. We've taken, I think just last night, we got a TDA guy off our streets right here, right around from where we all work. Another TDA member gone because of this project. So we're going to keep America safe from all of these foreign terrorist organizations, including Abrego Garcia.
Okay.
Mr. President,
Okay.
if we could get your reaction, sir. The Israelis bombed a hospital in Gaza, killed 20 people, including 5 journalists.
When did this happen?
This happened overnight, today.
I didn't know.
Any reaction to this?
Well, I'm not happy about it. I don't want to see it. At the same time, we have to end that whole nightmare. I'm the one that got the hostages out. I got them out, all of them. Steve Witkoff has been amazing. He's done a great job. But I'm the one that got them all out through my people and through me. And now we're left with probably a little bit less than 20 because I think 1 or 2 are gone. And I said a long time ago, I'm going to get them out. But when we get down to that final 10 or 20, these people aren't going to release them because they're dead after they release them. So it's a nasty situation, very nasty, horrible thing.
Mr.
Yes.
President, could you please elaborate on your post on South Korea? What were you referring to?
Well, I heard that there were raids on churches over the last few days, very vicious raids on churches by the new government in South Korea, that they even went into our military base and got information. They probably shouldn't have done that, but I heard bad things. I don't know if it's true or not. I'll be finding out. As you know, your new president's coming in just a couple of hours coming here. I look forward to meeting him, but we won't stand for that. We just won't stand for that.
Sorry,
Yes.
Are you prepared to order National Guard troops, though, into American cities if those governors don't request the federal deployment?
I am, but I also think that,
Yeah.
look, Chicago,
You know, I believe the liberals made a good point that, well, why haven't these liberal cities that have high crime in the red states, why haven't their Republican governors sent in the feds to guard that? And you know what? That's actually a really good answer. And you know what? I would grill some of these Republican governors on that. Like, yeah, my man, you got like my own governor. Was it DeWine? Yes, Governor DeWine. I would grill his ass and be like, yo, Cleveland has gotten pretty damn bad. Why haven't you done the same thing why haven't you dropped more law enforcement there like Trump did with DC? I mean, what's going on? Oh, and I don't know. I'm be real with you. I would probably pull the race card a little bit because I'm like, what? I know there's a bunch of black people there, but like, bro, they're still your constituents. Yes, Cleveland is heavily black. Whole lot of crime going on. It's like the Chicago of Ohio, but I don't know why our governor hasn't taken, I don't know, more of a stance on it. It does make Ohio look bad, but he refused to take a stance. So I do give libs that argument on, well, they may be a blue city, but they got a Republican governor. So why haven't the Republican governor sent anything in? Good point. Good point. But still, why does every high crime city gotta be ran by a Dem? I mean, that's also a good point.
everybody knows how bad it is. Everybody standing there knows. We know. You don't have to be doing any studies. They should be saying, please come in. Pritzker should be saying that. You know, I did a favor for Christy Whitmer. A good favor, I think, with the fish, the carp, the China carp. Did you ever hear of it? China carp. And it's taken over your Great Lakes. You know about that, right? And she came and she wanted to know if it's possible for us to do something about it. And I said, well, I'll do. But I think it's appropriate that the person from Illinois, the governor from Illinois, asks also. It's a tremendously expensive project, actually. It's invasive. It's horrible what's happened. And we can do it with GSA and various people, but we can do it. We're going to just have to see what happens, okay? We're going to have to see what happens. But
You have the legal authority.
but the governor of Michigan came, was very respectful, asked for it. She's done a good job. I did that. I opened the Air Force Base, kept it open for F-35s and various planes, F-22s too. I did that for the state of Michigan at her request. And I will, and also at our congressmen. We have congressmen that are unbelievably pro-Michigan up there. But some of this stuff, like the lakes, the Great Lakes, this is a big problem that nobody ever talks about. Most of you probably have never heard of. We have a pretty violent fish that has Comes from
And you
China.
know what? I think Trump is honestly trying to employ the Bukele strategy. President Bukele, I mean, President El Salvador, the one who pretty much turned around his entire country, in terms of crime in just, a couple years? Yes. Went from El Salvador, had the highest murder rate in the world. It did. And now it doesn't. And now it's one of the safest places in the world and one of the safest places in Latin America. Why? Because Bukele employed something like this with less, I ain't gonna lie, with less human rights involved. Because what we're doing is very softcore compared to what Bukele did, because he did not care about no due process. He didn't care about family members getting wrapped up. He just mass locked up anybody who had any gang affiliation. You know what? We need that here. We do. I'm not saying to that extreme, but we do need something like it to clean the streets up, because he showed us how, if you put enough law enforcement on gang activity, you could turn around the entire crime statistic. So, hey, I'm for it. Not at that extreme, of course, and I advise you look up how President Bukele did it so you can understand why I'm saying not that extreme.
Chinese carp. And you see them jumping out. They jump into boats and they jump all over the place. They've got a lot of energy. And there's a way of getting rid of them. It's very expensive. And I didn't get a request from the governor of Illinois, who is affected maybe more than anybody else, right? And I think until I get that request from that guy, I'm not going to do anything about it. And I feel the same way about crime. We go in, we will solve Chicago within 1 week, maybe less, but within 1 week, we will have no crime in Chicago, just like we have no crime in DC.
I don't know, Trump. You're going to have a little bit of a fight with Chicago. I mean, these guys might actually shoot back at y'all. I'm so serious. These kids will actually shoot back at y'all. So y'all might have it done within a month, but not no week, man. Look, Chicago ain't pushing over like DC. And I ain't saying DC gangsters ain't nothing to F with, but them Chicago guys is cut different. Like, they're not normal. They're not normal. It's not me highlighting it. It's not me glorifying them. This is me low-key casting shame on them, because I don't know how the gang culture got this bad. I don't know why the kids are out here with like heavier guns than policemen, but heavier artillery than policemen, but this is what it is. This is what Chicago turned into. And if you don't believe that we need this same approach on Chicago, then honestly, you don't care about crime. You don't care about the black community. You don't care about the black youth and the black people being victimized under this type of crime. You don't care. You rather just hate Trump all day for giving a damn about crime and call him authoritarian when he's doing what needs to be done. But okay, I'm anti-American, but I want him to save Americans. But okay, though, I'm the anti-American one. But you're the one who's so pro-crime, though. You're the one who hates Trump so much that you can't even see past the good that he's actually doing for the community that you claim that he hates.
But, I don't like to go in and do it and then have somebody stand up and say what a great job he's doing on crime. And we don't want the military in our state. We don't want the military. Do you understand? Do you understand that?
Yeah, these governors will say.
So I don't know. So we're going to have a little meeting. I think, I feel like we go in and we do it, like here. To a lesser extent with the mayor, she hasn't been terrible, but she hasn't been, exactly saying, oh, great. She did say last night, I heard her say that, but we really don't want
Hey, and shout out Luna for starting us off. Appreciate you, sis. They said they flashed RPGs on video in Chirac. And don't worry, we'll get into that. But shout out Luna for starting us off. And guys, you have any questions, comments, jokes, or disagreements? I'll be happy to read it out loud and engage with it. Just $2 and up. Appreciate the support, guys. All right, let's keep it going.
the military in DC. Well, that's, not very nice, I guess. That's a little bit of a hit, but she's not as bad as some. We saved Los Angeles, and all we did is get criticized by this idiot that's running the state into the ground, right? Where people are leaving. He should be thanking us, and he should be requesting us to be there. And the governor of Illinois should be. Chicago's a disaster. And
Same thing here.
The governor of Illinois should say, President, would you do us the honor of cleaning up our city? We need help.
Yeah.
They need help. They need help.
Bro, because I'm gonna be real with you, Chicago got to a point where even adding police won't help. I mean, these kids are walking around with some crazy artillery out there, like guns that you really wouldn't believe you wouldn't even fathom a little kid have. I'm not just talking about a pistol with a switch on it. I'm talking about some real artillery here. Like they can shoot through armored, they can shoot through armored. They can really shoot through armored police cars. They could shoot through police bulletproof. What was it? I think it was like bulletproof windows and all that, because I don't know what's going on, but the arms that go through Chicago is high level, and I don't understand why. Like, yes, they got RPGs, they got sniper rifles, they got guns on freaking Call of Duty out there. It doesn't make sense. I'd be so real with you. But I mean, I guess that's what comes with having a good amount of the drug trade flow through that city.
But without that request, we may wait, we may or may not. We may just go in and do it, which is probably what we should do. The problem is, it's not nice when you go in and do it and somebody else is standing there saying, as we give great results, say, we don't want the military. They need help badly. Chicago desperately needs help.
You know what? At the risk of losing viewers, well, honestly, I don't give a damn, but let me show y'all something, because this is what I'm gonna be real with you. Y'all white liberals, this is what y'all hide from. This is what y'all ignore, and y'all claim that Trump is hurting the black community, but you don't know the problems of the black community because you guys sit in your ivory tower. You guys sit in these high-income communities and think y'all know the problems of the people at the bottom, and you don't. Y'all honestly just narcissistic assholes who honestly y'all just think y'all know everything. Yes, narcissistic know-it-alls. That's the majority of the left. But let me show y'all something, because y'all don't know what's really going on. Let's get into it, guys.
Go keep posting that motivational police ass. Go keep posting that motivational police ass shit, nigga. So bitch ass on, nigga. You ain't got shit to worry about. Your bitch ass going to heaven, nigga. Hey, your bitch ass going to heaven, nigga.
Real demon.
You cool. Your ass ain't did shit at all. Your ass a saint. Lame ass nigga. Old, lame, goofy ass nigga.
How y'all coming? Button on you. Come here, check it out, Dave.
Bro.
Oh man, you come out, this how we hit y'all shit. This how y'all supposed to hit our shit, you know?
117th.
One of these little old crib on mouse, come outside, get your ass dropped. Shoot out the window, get your ass dropped.
But said it's not that bad in Chicago.
At it. Back at it. Hey, we ain't on phone them, Preston. We ain't on phone them, Preston. Hey, look, we just gonna terrorize the whole city. We making our way around. We making our way around. Fuck your ring camera too. Fuck your ring camera too. Got big hog, know what we do. We don't press it.
So when a white liberal tells you that, or a black liberal tells you, I don't even know why. Black liberals should shut the fuck up. I'm be real. This is one time y'all niggas need to shut the fuck up. Excuse my language. But let the white liberals talk and look stupid. Y'all better shut the hell up, because you should know better. But let's get back to the video.
On State near 86th, and you'll see it here. It happens fast, just 8 seconds, but we can see it from several angles. 3 gunmen in a black Dodge Durango get out of the car and then start.
Broad daylight. Broad daylight. I mean, I know this stuff happens in city all over. This stuff, happens in cities all over, but usually at night. Usually stuff like this happens at night, not in broad daylight.
Start firing. A 31-year-old man was shot.
Put that nigga on camera. Put that shit back. We watching this bit like a porn.
And then brag about it.
How you coming?
Man, fuck 12, man. Fuck 12.
Oh, damn, I'm fuck 12. Yeah. They been so dry. One best.
In y'all hood, dry as hell. I couldn't jump out because the police on my brother. Yes, I would hope the police will be on y'all ass. I would hope so. They're literally, bro, they diss hoods for having too much police in them, as if that's a bad thing. Because they want to go out there and kill the people that they, beef with. The ops, apparently.
So for 12 coming for. Why police behind us? Nigga, come on, dear, come on, this bitch Jado.
So how y'all stay away from like all of that extra stuff while y'all in the booth? Like y'all finna go crazy on the rap.
And shoot him right now.
Hey, let's get out right here.
And the problem with Chicago, there's so many gangs, there's so many cliques that beef with each other for no real reason, but really just drug trade or just clout or internet beef. Yes, they're killing themselves. Really, mainly it's internet beef, but drug trade and clout and all that good stuff. And, oh, I want to kill your big homie because it makes me the big homie, that type of stuff. On King Day.
Open this fucking door. Open this fucking door.
God, I killed that nigga. They ain't believe me. I said that shit like corp. That nigga was dead on the ground.
But said white people, nigga, bro, where? We kill each other mostly. And this is why I want Trump to come down on this, so we can expose this crap.
We got us a picture, we took that bitch and poured up. Niggas steady making this one, I'm out spending every day. I'm the one that hit that cutting, shot your cousin in his face. Okay, cool, let's make them fat. We gon' take it all the way back. Weezy niggas mad, they got they cake together. Get a rest put on the side like PJ scratching. Monte being funny like he ain't just seen, let's take it
Yep. And the worst part about this isn't in the city. This is not even in a neighborhood. These are really nice cars in a really nice area, and they're doing that in the nice part of Chicago. This is why I said, like, when the crime gets so bad, it spills over into the nice areas. Like when a famous rapper in Chicago, FBG Duck, died, he died in a rich part of Chicago where they're selling Gucci and Monclers and all this nice stuff. He died out there where the white people are shopping.
My homie died, ain't make no check out in that car I made him. You still ain't snake for narrow, yeah. Last time I checked, you dick right niggas that had put that boy to rest. They cut these niggas a pop on dump the man. How baby zooing up on bullshit, know that boy get right on that dick. This my competition, so hot, you know I pulled up in some fair. I can't even stop, fuck out my eyes, look at the tough of the level like we shook. The boy gon' die, catching me cooking. Tryna play bounce, leave me alone. To call him on phone, they tryna get booked.
And that's enough for now. But I think you get my point, right? And shout out to the Carter family. I pretty much found this little clip that they put out, like 4 minutes of just straight Chicago hood-ish, straight YN activity. But then, Chicago, he's being authoritarian. No, he's helping out where it really counts. I mean, obviously it is. Trump cares more about the black community than the Dems do. That's all I got to say at this point, because when he put the feds there and he's helping out DC and he's cleaning up the crime, yeah, he's mainly cleaning up the black community because, yes, we're the main victims and also the perpetrators at the same effing time. And yes, this is something that we do need to fix in our community, but it doesn't make it good when when the Dems have policies that proliferate it. You're not helping us.
Just look at the crime statistics. Look at the statistics that JD said about, even I didn't know it was that bad. That's terrible. But all I know is we're being celebrated because we went an entire week. Now it's 11 days. We went an entire week without a murder. And I said, boy, that sounds terrible. I didn't know how to, I actually made a speech. I didn't know how to say it because it's a great number. It's a great thing, but it sounds so bad. I mean, supposing you're from a foreign country, which is properly run and they don't have murders and things, right? So much, or in some cases, virtually at all. And you have somebody saying, I'm proud to announce that nobody was murdered in the capital of the United States this week. It sounds terrible, but.
Mr. President, Gavin Newsom, you've mentioned Gavin Newsom on crime.
Gavin Newsom, yes.
Is there a federal mechanism you're hoping to use to fight back against his redistricting constitutional amendment, or is that?
Well, I think I'm going to be filing a lawsuit pretty soon, and I think we're going to be very successful in it. We're going to be filing it through the Department of Justice. That's going to happen. And we're also going to be filing a lawsuit on blue slip.
Oh, no, I think Gavin Newsom didn't use too much up. I mean, they even said, like, bro, the Democratic parts of, California has already been gerrymandered enough. Now, the only places that we can really gerrymander would be the large Republican districts that we don't want to gerrymander that could be giving seats to the Republican. So California is in between a rock and a hard place because I'm like, it's going to be really hard to cut up the Democratic districts any more than they already are in California. I mean, if you look at California, you'll see a really large red districts that could be cut up themselves, but let's not go there.
You know, blue slips make it impossible for me as president to appoint a judge or a U.S. attorney because they have a gentleman's agreement. It's nothing memorialized. It's a gentleman's agreement that's about 100 years old, where if you have a president like a Republican and if you have a Democrat senator, that senator can stop you from appointing a judge or a U.S. attorney. In particular, those are the two, I guess anything, but those are the two that are very important. So we have numerous states where we have unbelievable people. Now, Jay Clayton was just approved in the Southern District, but he was so good. He was a top student, top schools, top everything, went to Sullivan and Cromwell, became the head of Sullivan and Cromwell, came down here, was Securities and Exchange Commission, ran it for 4 years during my term, like impeccably, beautiful job. He did an incredible job. And we went to court and the judges, Democrat judges, voted that he could, that's the only way you get by it. But generally speaking, you can't do that because you'll have judges from the other party. So Jay Clayton just got approved, and he's in, but he didn't get approved by the senators. He got approved by the court system in New York, which was a great thing. And I had a big victory in New York, I might add. I saved myself $500 million with a fake, corrupt attorney general, a really corrupt person with a corrupt judge who was disgraceful, and they're being mauled right now by everybody. It's so corrupt, and it kept business out of New York. Stuff like that. But the appellate division vacated all of that stuff that you read about, and we're going to do a big number on that whole thing. You can't have a corrupt court system. You can't have that. You have to have borders, and you have to have a free press. Otherwise, you don't have a country. But you'll be hearing about the blue slipping, because if you you don't need two senators. You just need one Democrat senator with a Republican. The only person that I can get approved are Democrats or maybe weak Republicans, but we don't want that. But the only person I will be able to get approved in any of those states where you have a Democrat I can't get a U.S. attorney. I can only get a Democrat U.S. attorney. And this is based on an old custom. It's not based on law, and I think it's unconstitutional. And I'll probably be filing a suit on that pretty soon. Yeah, please.
During the campaign, you called Kamala Harris a communist, but the Biden-Harris administration, they never called for nationalizing a private company with the federal government like you're proposing with Intel. What do you say to some who say this is a bit hypocritical? And is this the new way of doing industrial policy? Yeah,
Sure it is. I want to try and get as much as I can. If people come in and they need something, as an example, as a real estate person, if I have an agreement and I have any form of a stopgap where I can stop somebody from doing something, right? I have a covenant in an agreement, and they come to me and they say, would like to do something, but you have us restricted. If I do that, they usually have to pay. Now, in the case of Intel, it was interesting, but I hope I'm going to have many more cases like it. Intel came in. I met with the gentleman. I had a lot of respect for him. He came in under a little bit of a cloud. I liked his story. I thought he was good. I think he really means to do a good job with Intel. I said, I'd like to ask whether or not you'd because the story, a lot of people said I invested in it. I didn't invest. But I invest my heart in it and my soul because I want the country to be strong. But I said, I'd like you to give 10% of Intel to the United States of America. Not to me, to the United States of America. And I said, if you have them as a partner, you have the United States as a partner, I think that would be a very good thing for Intel. And he thought about it a little bit different. And he said, I like that idea very much. We have a deal. And I just made $10 billion or $11 billion for the United States of America. And yeah. There will be other cases. If I have that.
Sorry, guys. Sorry. I was talking about Intel. My bad. Sorry about that. But my main concern with Intel is that they're not the leading chip makers in the industry. So when Biden gave them this whole, when he did the CHIPS Act and he gave these guys all this money, we were pretty much betting on a losing horse. And that's just the fact of the matter. But all right, though.
That idea very much. We have a deal. And I just made $10 billion or $11 billion for the United States of America. And yeah, there will be other cases. If I have that opportunity again, I would do that. And then, you do have stupid people say, oh, that's a shame. It's not a shame. It's called business. If somebody's willing to give you 10% of a company and you're not paying for it, and I will tell you, with a company like Intel, as you know, it's had difficulty. I want them to do well. I want them to do well anyway, but I want
Yeah,
them
they've been failing in the recent years because their chips, I guess their chips has been falling behind in terms of it being advanced. So they're like other companies are asking for different chips instead of the Intel chips. It's not, I mean, they got this, I guess they're secured in with HP, but let's be real, HP is only buying so much chips to sustain them.
do well in particular then.
But isn't public ownership of a private company a new way of doing business in the business of the United States? Isn't that what you were
So are
sort of
tariffs.
projecting?
So are tariffs. So as you know, the stock market went up almost 1,000 points on Friday. And it went up not because of this very, I think, terrible, hello, who is that back there? Get out of the room.
Damn.
It went up because of something much different. It went up because it was announced, CBO announced the numbers, and as you know, they gave no credit to tariffs.
Nope.
They said they made a mistake, that the trade deficit will be reduced because of Trump's tariffs, will be reduced by $4 trillion, right? Is that what they said, right? They said $4 trillion, and the market went up like a rocket ship because the tariffs are good. Well, tariffs aren't that usual. If the 7 wars I stopped.
Well, really, tariffs is supposed to be bombing the economy, but it's not. Actually, markets are looking good. GDP went up 3%. And it does seem that companies are either eating the tariffs or just like Brazil done gave subsidies to their companies. So pretty much giving these companies money so they can eat the tariffs. I mean, who'd have knew?
4 of them were because of the fact that I had tariffs and trade. And I was able to say, well, if you do this, if you go fight and you want to kill everybody, that's okay. But I'm going to charge you each 100% tariff when you trade with us. You know what? They all gave up. I stopped 7 wars. Numerous of them was because of tariffs. So, you never knew the word tariff. It didn't exist really, essentially, in this country until actually in the 1870s up till 1913 it existed, and we were the richest country. We were richer then, proportionately, than at any time in the history of our country. And then, stupidly, in 1913, they said, let's go to the income tax way of life. Let the people pay instead of foreign countries. No, we're taking in trillions of dollars in tariffs, and we're stopping wars because of tariffs. So that's not.
To catch you up on how these guys can eat a tariff, right? So we all know that a tariff is something that the importer pays so they can go ahead and get their product, at the ports. So yes, usually the person who pays the tax to the government of the tariff is the U.S. importer. But let's take a deeper look into this. Now, if let's say that the tariff is 10%. Now, if the supplier cuts their price by 10%, then the importer is going to be paying the same price as if the tariff never existed. You get what I'm saying now? So this is what we mean when we say the supplier or the government can eat the tariff. They can either cut their overhead costs by 10%, or they can cut their prices by 10%. Or the importer can take it to the profit margin, like we've seen GM and Ford do. They can take it to the profit margin or cut it in overhead costs. These are ways that companies and suppliers can avoid passing costs down to the consumer, especially if they're in an oversaturated market.
So normal either. But you know what? Other countries did it to us, and now we're doing it to other countries.
You ruled out boots on the ground in Ukraine, but how would air support as part of a security guarantee be any different? Those U.S.
Well, you really went from one question to the next. I expected he'd at least challenge you. Now we're talking about boots on the ground.
But U.S. air assets over the skies of Ukraine as part of a security guarantee. Wouldn't those U.S. airmen also be
Well,
in
you
danger?
don't know what security guarantee is because we haven't even discussed the specifics of it. And we'll see. Number one, Europe is going to give them significant security guarantees, and they should because they're right there. But we'll be involved from the standpoint of backup. We're going to help them. And I think if we get a deal, and I think we will, but if we get a deal, you're not going to, I don't believe you're going to have much of a problem. But we'll back it up because I want to stop seeing people being killed. When Biden was here, he gave $350 billion. You know this from covering business. $350 billion to Ukraine. I said that Zelensky's the greatest salesman I think I've ever met, better than P.T. Barnum. because he'd come to the country, he'd walk out with $50 billion every time. He actually came here once, he walked out with $100 billion. We're up to $350 billion. I got $1 trillion worth of rare earth that we have from the country because I felt badly for our taxpayer. But I did something else at the NATO meeting. They are wealthy countries, but they weren't paying. And we don't pay any money to Ukraine anymore. Do you know that? In fact, it's the opposite. They request through NATO, we deal with NATO. We don't deal really with Ukraine. NATO requests missiles. They want Patriots. They want missiles. We give the missiles to NATO. NATO pays us in full and does what they want. I mean, I think they give them mostly to, they can do other things with
Yeah, we pretty much kind of switched up how we are engaged in this war. Instead of just giving weapons and money to Ukraine up front, we kind of make NATO pay for it. Yeah, well, actually, no, that's exactly what we do. We make NATO pay for the weapons and they send it to Ukraine. So instead of just giving these weapons for free, hoping for good results, now we just make NATO pay for it and we get money from it and they can go ahead and supply Ukraine if they want to. Like, hey.
Them too, because we're dealing with NATO. We pay no money to Ukraine. We gave $350 billion to Ukraine. You know, if we didn't give that kind of money, and I was the one that gave the javelins, if you remember. I gave the javelins. They were very effective. They say Obama gave sheets and Trump gave javelins. They were very effective with those tanks right at the beginning. But you would have never had a war if I were president. You would have never had a war. Just to finish, we spend no money on Ukraine anymore. We were getting fleeced by a president that didn't know what he was doing. To be honest, I don't blame Ukraine. I mean, if they come and ask for $100 billion, then they get it. But we were in for $350 billion. Now we make money. I don't want to make money on Ukraine. I want the war to end because I want to save all those lives. I want to just say, but just so you understand, we're no longer losing money on that thing. We were losing money hand over fist.
And a shout out to my man Hellback coming in with the 2. He says, Punk, I'm crying. This man. Shout out my man Hellback. Oh, guys, and let's make sure we keep the support up, guys, so we can keep the show running. If you have any videos you'd like me to go over and share, that'd be $5 for members, $10 if you're not. Appreciate the support, guys. Let's keep it going.
Now we don't lose any money. Now we sell weapons to NATO. Because NATO agreed, because of me, to go to 5%. They had 2% and didn't pay. Now they have 5% and they're all paid up. So they have trillions of dollars and they give us that money. But I really want the war to end, and we're going to get it ended.
Mr. President, this is an historic summit here with Ukrainian President Zelensky and European leaders all met here with you at the White House. You said you wanted to get this done bilateral as soon as possible. Have you spoken to Putin since last Monday?
Yeah, I have.
What is your conversation? Can you share?
Every conversation I have with him is a good conversation. And then unfortunately, a bomb is loaded up into Kiev or someplace. And then I get very angry about it. I think we're going to get the war done. It's tough. I thought that would be of the 7 that
he said, shout out Hellback. He said that was aimed at you, late boy said. Hey, actually, I was supposed to start at 3. I started early.
I settled. I thought that would be the easiest of the group. See, you never know what's going to happen. You know, war, strange things happen in war. The fact that he went to Alaska, our country, I think was a big statement that he wants to get it done. That was not easy for him to go to Alaska, you know, for him to come here. But the fact that he showed up on a very successful, that was a very successful day for other things. Because, you know, we're also talking about missiles, nuclear. We're talking about a lot of different things. We're talking about limiting nuclear weapons. We'll get China into that. We have the most. Russia has the second most, and China has third. But China is way behind, but they'll catch us in 5 years. We would like to denuclearize. It's too much power. And we talked about that also. That's part of it. But we have to get the war over with.
Thank you.
And shout out to my man Parabolic Curvature. He says this is the same strategy the U.S. impeded in the early stages of World War II. That worked out well. Well, all right, I'll give you that one. We definitely didn't have to get involved in a more direct way to end it due to hoping others could. I mean, that is true. That is definitely true. I mean, well, It was the Nazis. It was the propaganda. The Germans are evil and they must be stopped and they're all demons and all that wild stuff. I mean, if you look at the propaganda of World War II, it was pretty wild. I can kind of see where everybody had this like complete monsterization of the German people. Like, but hey, that's what happens. I mean, that's what happens when y'all go full blown authoritarian Nazis. But yeah, I do see what you were saying though. Shout out to my man Parabolic Curvature though. Man, what's hitting me with the super chats to make you think?
On Baltimore, you said that
I
you were going
appreciate
to have to reconsider bridge funding. Is that contingent on Westmore cleaning up the streets?
No, we were very generous to him on a bridge. You know, a boat ran into a bridge and the bridge came down like I've never seen anything. The boat was just, it just shows you the mass of that boat, the power of that
Implemented.
boat. You know, people were up.
Oh, my bad, bro. Looked at that wrong. I thought I seen an N, but it's an M. Implemented. Sorry.
Bridge painters, they were painting the bridge and they were watching it happen and they thought they were very safe. They all died. They were painting the bridge. Can you imagine? And they watched the boat. The engines were off.
But here's the thing, man. I don't think we're going to get the American people riled up on this whole, oh, Russia's just the demons of the world. Like, I don't think we could pull that same propaganda off we did in World War II. Like, that's going to be a little bit, that's going to be a bit hard to pull that one off. Considering everything we lost from, you know, World War II and on, and all these other wars we were in after that. It's a little bit harder to push the people into that propaganda. Now, I'm be real with you. There's times that I do get a little bit shaky because they're still able to push us into this Muslim hate to get us to go to war with the Middle East. But even that's dying down a bit.
And they watched the boat and the power of that boat, the mass of that boat went right through that steel just like it was nothing. It's amazing. It's called mass. Mass is a big deal. But the mass of that boat, those people all died. But they thought they were totally safe. They were eating their lunch. They were, you know, whatever. They were watching it. They could have gotten off. Somebody did a very good job. A police officer called in and said, close the bridge.
Oh, and you guys trying to compare Trump bringing the feds into big cities like Nazi Germany as being intellectually dishonest. I mean, unless he's locking these people up, the criminals up, and putting them in a concentration camp to start executing at whim, you guys sound stupid. Like, come on now.
He did it with power.
Cleaning up crime is not authoritarian. For some reason, the Dems got in their head that cleaning up crime is somehow authoritarian.
Get everybody off the bridge, close that. That guy should get a medal because he stopped the bridge. A lot of people would have died. A lot more people would have died.
And shout out Sid, man, my favorite neoliberal all of a sudden. Like, when did you become a neocon? But shout out my man Sid. He says, in World War II, we waited until they declared war on us. Will we make the same mistake now? Actually, Sid, I don't believe they did. Honestly, I think we kind of forced that one on us. I mean, I'm be honest with you. Like, they declared war on us with, what was it? Pearl Harbor. Okay, yeah. Did Germany attack us directly, though? No. Did Japan attack us directly? For sure. Should Japan ever have been able to go that far into American territory and even attack us? Of course not. Might have there been a play at that. I mean, you know, you can always put your tinfoil hat on, but we're not going to do that tonight. Now, are we?
The ones that died were the workers on the bridge. And they thought there was no danger because, you know, it's a big steel bridge. And it came down like toothpicks. It was incredible to watch that. It was just, and they died. They all died. But that police officer, again, the police do a great job. The police officer did an amazing job. And I heard the tapes. He would say, get everybody off. Most people wouldn't have said that. You know, when you see a thing like that, you assume it's going to, you know, tap the bridge and it's going to be rebuffed. The thing just came down. I've never seen anything like it. So he did a good job. In fact, I think we should get him in for a medal. The man that gave the warning, I listened to him. Everybody get off screaming. Everybody off. He had the same.
Yeah, see, I see what you're trying to do there, but here's the thing. Has Russia hit us through a proxy or hit us through one of their allies? Now, let's just say this. If North Korea hits us all of a sudden, right? All while we're in this conflict with Ukraine and Russia, then I can hear you out on that one, Sid. But Russia hasn't hit us directly. Neither has none of their allies hit us directly. So, nah, we can't really make that, you know, that comparison.
To realize that this could be a catastrophe as opposed to ship that because the engines weren't working. It was just floating. It's an amazing thing that a thing floating like that with no power just knocked it right down like it was nothing. Let's do that. Let's give him a medal. I've been thinking about that.
Mr. President, do you plan to investigate Chris Christie?
Say what?
Do you plan to investigate Chris Christie?
Look, Chris is a slob. Everybody knows it. I know Chris better than anybody in the room. I always felt he was guilty. But what he did is he took the George Washington Bridge, which is very serious. He closed down the George Washington Bridge. And you had medical people, you had ambulances caught up. This thing was closed down. And obviously he knew about it. But he blamed the young lady that worked for him and another person, and they got into a lot of trouble. She ultimately was, I don't know, exonerated, but she got out of it a little bit. But she went through hell. She was a young mother, nice person. I knew her a little bit. And another man went to jail, and Chris got off. And so when I listen to Chris speak his hate, I say, oh, what about the George Washington Bridge? Tell me about the George Washington Bridge. He blamed other people, but he knew all about it. So no, I don't know if they want to look at it. It's not for me. If they want to look at it, they can. You can ask Pam. I think we have other things to do, but I always thought he got away with murder.
Mr. President, do you plan to make an endorsement in the Texas Senate race between Ken Paxton and John Cornyn?
Well, I'll make up my mind. I like them both. The worst situation I have is when I have two people that I get along with well. I hate it. And they all want the endorsement. I'm almost 100% of the people I endorse win. It's a great honor. And I got, as you know, I got the largest vote in the history of Texas by far. Nobody's ever gotten more votes in the last election. I think in all the elections, 3 elections, but they like me in Texas. So people are waiting for me, but I'd rather not comment on it right now. I like both guys. They're both friends of mine, and they're both good and very different.
There's some talk among congressional Republicans about another reconciliation bill. Where do you fall on that, and what would you like to prioritize?
Well, I don't want to do cutting. I want to save all the different things. I'm going to cut things that are unnecessary, but the one thing I said, and I gave my word, we're not going to hurt anybody on Medicaid, Medicare, or Social Security. And in fact, we're doing great on Social Security. We found 300,000 illegals on Social Security. We got them out. And, things like that make Social Security very, very strong. So no, I am very big into certain things. And one of those three, you could say 3 of those things are Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. We're going to protect it. And so we'll see how everything works out. If we're talking about rescissions on other things, I'm always open to cost cutting. If we can cost cut, I like it, but nothing's going to happen to medical. We have something coming up, favored nations.
Actually, the funny thing is people complain about cuts in Medicaid and Medicare. And I'm just like, it's so crazy. Like we were in a deficit I believe in July. We were in a deficit in July because of Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security. So these services are still being paid out. And actually we even ran a deficit into the month over it. So I always do say when people say, oh, we're going to lose our Medicaid and Medicare and people are going to die. I'm like, please, where? And here's the thing. It got to the end of the year to prove that 1 million people died of this. And I wonder how you calculate that.
I'm going to be reducing drug prices by 1,500%, where a pill that sells in Germany for $10 costs $150 here because of the bad price. And I was all set to do it. And then we had the COVID come up and I had to focus on that because we had the greatest economy in history my first term. I will tell you that we are going to be doing numbers on the cost of drugs in this country that I'm not talking about a
and shout out Sid coming in, hiding his bruised hands. Sad. I mean, honestly, are they bruised or are you just assuming?
20%.
I don't know, Sid. I don't know. I'd have to see it for sure. For all you know, just could be conveniently not raising his hands today. But then again, he does like to speak with his hands. So maybe. I mean, like I said, the man is old. At least he's talking correctly, though. At least he's talking coherently. I mean, if you want to be petty about bruised hands, go ahead. But I mean, the man's talking coherently.
Decrease, which would be great. I'm talking about 1,000% decrease. We're talking about where a product would sell for $80 in Germany and $1,300 here. And we're not going to do that. we were subsidizing the entire world, and we're not doing it anymore. I informed the drug companies. I informed the world. And if the world wants to, if countries in the world don't want to go along, then I'm going to put tariffs on those countries, and we'll make more money. But they have to go along with it. So this is moving along rapidly. Dr. Oz is in charge, Bobby's group, and they do it very well. And we're getting great cooperation from the drug, because the drug companies know it's unfair. You know, for years they'd say, well, we had to do research, and we had to do. I said, I don't care. You had to do research for these other countries also. They are ready to go. And I'm ready to go. And you know, if I pull that off, there's no way a Republican will lose an election. There's no way. All right, one more question, Steve. Steve, what's this guy? He's the nicest guy I know, and he asks the most vicious questions.
I mean, hey, man, Trump, don't talk too soon. You can always Bush it. I mean, that's what Bush did. I mean, man, we all thought that Bush couldn't F up anything. Well, I know the Republicans thought that Bush couldn't F up anything, and he did. And then y'all got Obama, which wasn't too bad, honestly. I mean, of course, there was some Obamacare that was pretty shitty, but hey, there were some benefits. Shout out to my man Daniel Castro. He says, better bruise hands than knees like Sid. Oh, damn. Better bruise hands than knees like Sid. America. Well, damn. Not bruise hands. He's like, look, Sid. Apparently, he's saying you got bruised knees. I don't know from what activities. I would like to say you were kneeling in protest. There you go.
Why do you think President Putin is so reluctant to meet with President?
That sounds like you.
He doesn't like him. He doesn't like him. You know, they don't like. I have people I don't like. I don't like to meet with them. Sometimes I do like to meet with people I don't like.
So how do you get them together?
They don't like each other really. And if we had a real president instead of a guy that got in there with a fraudulent election.
He said, if this is coherent, we're cooked. I mean, do you not understand what he's saying? Come on, Sid. Don't be like that. But remembering Eisenhower's farewell speech, great Republican. I mean, bro, I'm gonna be real with you. There's nobody today that honestly speaks as well as the presidents of our past, like JFK, Eisenhower. I mean, Roosevelt, like, bro. I mean, let's be real. If you look at old literature back in the day, I mean, bro, our literature's ass compared to how they were writing back in the 1700s. So, I mean, that's everybody across the board, if you want to talk about in terms of their eloquence in their speech. But if you want to talk about coherent, then, I mean, my dog, don't do this to yourself, because if everybody in the class can understand what the teacher's saying and it's only you, what does that say about you?
If we had a real president, that war would have never happened. Putin actually said,
I'm just saying.
He said if Trump were president, it wouldn't have happened. Happened for a lot of reasons. Happened because of Afghanistan. When he saw how incompetent Milley was and all these guys were, I think he said, wow, this might be, because it was the apple of his eye. It would have never happened if I were president.
Mr. President, you have built relationship with Russian leaders and also North Korean leaders. As they are getting closer, how would that affect your diplomatic approach?
Well, I have very good relationships with Kim Jong-un, North Korea. I mean, a lot of people would say, oh, that's terrible. No, it's good. In fact, someday I'll see him. I look forward to seeing him. He was very good with me. We had 2 meetings. We had 2 summits. We got along great. I know him better than you do. I know him better than anybody, almost, other than his sister. His sister knows him pretty well. No, I know him well, and I got along with him. You know, I'm not supposed to say I really like him a lot, because if I do that, I get killed in the fake news media. But I got along with him very well, and we had no problem. If at the time Hillary Clinton won the election, you would have had a nuclear war. You would have had a nuclear war. We're not going to have a nuclear war. Once that happens, it's over. We're not going to have a nuclear war. No, but Kim Jong-un will meet at some point. I look forward to it, actually. But you notice that since I came into office, you haven't had a problem with him. Hasn't been, you know, he tests lots of rockets. He does have great capability, I will say that. But I think a lot of good things are happening for our country, a lot of really good things. And the thing we're here today to talk about is crime, and specifically in DC. I am so proud of what these people, every one of them, what they've done in DC, because to literally stop crime on a button. I'd walk down that street right now. If I were, friends of mine are going out to dinner now. They haven't gone out to dinner in 4 years. They were petrified. Half the restaurants closed because nobody could go because they're afraid to go outside. Now those restaurants are open and new restaurants are opening up. It's like a boom town. It's a great thing to see, and I'm very proud of the people behind me. Thank you very much, everybody.
One week, somebody said, what literature you read? To be honest, most of the books I've ever read, now besides my textbooks that may have been up to date, but most of the literature I've read has been came out around the early 1970s, 60s, all that good stuff. So yeah, I haven't read much current literature of those literature that came out like in earlier days. Most of the stuff I read is back in the day. But then again, I do like history, so you kind of see my point with that. But all right, though, let's get to this school shooting that happened in this Catholic school. Because I already know that there's going to be a lot of Second Amendment arguments and all that good stuff that's going to pertain around this. But let's remember first to have these people in our prayers.
Breaking news coming in. Minnesota's governor says he has been briefed on a shooting at a Catholic school this morning.
Shout out to Sid. I understand him like I understand first graders. I mean, okay, Sid. Okay, my friend. Okay. I mean, I don't know if any first graders able to talk about geopolitics, but hey, if you can find one, you got me.
I want to go live to CNN correspondent Isabel Rosales, who is following this. What are you learning, Isabel?
Pamela, so this is a reported shooting at Annunciation Church. This is a Catholic school located in South Minneapolis. I believe we do have a live feed right now, live images from our CNN affiliate WCCO, where we can see yellow tape. The area has been blocked off, a large police presence. And at moments, we've also seen agents.
And shout out Texan 96. He said skid mark. Oh, damn. Skid mark? Oh, okay, I guess we're going with that one. Skid mark with the Trump derangement syndrome. Like, bro, ever since y'all came up with that with Sid, I was like, bro, skid mark is crazy.
With FBI vests walking around in the scene. We've reached out to hospitals. We've reached out to all sorts of law enforcement agencies trying.
Bro, not he doubling down. He's doubling down. He said, no. I'm gonna say it's even worse. Pedo skid mark. Damn. Now I ain't gonna stop. I know my man has TDS, but pedos, that's a bit wild, my friend.
To get more details, but this is what we have from the governor, Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, and Kamala Harris's former running mate. He said this: "I've been briefed on a shooting at Annunciation Catholic School and will continue to provide updates as we get more information." The BCA, that is the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, and State Patrol are on scene. I am praying for our kids and teachers whose first week of school was marred by this horrific act of violence. We also have this statement from the mayor of the city of Minneapolis, Jacob Frey. He's saying this: "I'm monitoring reports of horrific violence in South Minneapolis. I am in touch with Chief O'Hara, and our emergency response team has been activated. We will share more information as soon as we can. Please give our officers the space they need to respond to this situation." So obviously a breaking scenario here, a very serious seeming scenario where a shooting has been reported at a church. Pamela, we'll get back to you with any updates.
Yeah, and it sounds like this is a situation where you have the church and then you have the school connected to that. And the details that we are able to pull about this school is that it goes from pre-K, preschool through 8th grade. The student population at that school is over 320 students, according to U.S. World News and Report.
Oh shit, that's goddamn, that's bad. Because that means you got little kids in the way. Oh man, and shout out my man Texan 96. He said Jesus is King of. Hey, all right, shout out. He says, Jesus is King of Kings, Lord of Lords. Stay blessed. I mean, hey, you got to give a shout out to that one. You definitely do.
And from their website, Annunciation provides comprehensive education, faith formation, and enrichment activities for children from
and shout out Texan 96. Appreciate the support, my brother.
Preschool through 8th grade. And now we are hearing from the governor that police are responding to this horrific act of violence at this Catholic school. And they just started school this week, right, Isabel?
That is correct. And Pamela, if I can add this, from their website, it looks like they would have been, that the all-school mass would have likely been underway at the time. So we're looking at a calendar. So school mass would have been underway. Obviously, we're reaching out to across many avenues, trying to get more details as to what happened here.
That is very sad. All right, thank you. Stand by as more details come in. I want to bring in CNN security correspondent Josh Campbell. We're trying to get some more details
Well, we already got more details, actually. So pretty much it was like a manifesto that was released. Now, I seen the manifesto on Megyn Kelly. So I seen Megyn Kelly cover it first. And then I also seen CNN cover it. So we're going to get into the CNN coverage of it. And if they don't show the fact that this kid drew a picture of himself standing in a mirror while he pictured him, I mean, it was a crazy picture, guys. It was the kid literally drew himself standing in the mirror and there was a demon in the mirror. I was like, all right, what's going on? But we'll get to that.
Flag outside the White House, the United States flag outside the White House has been lowered to half staff as the nation mourns two children, ages 8 and 10, who were killed in a shooting at the Annunciation Catholic School in Minneapolis earlier today. The children were sitting with classmates in church pews during a mass. At least 17 others are wounded, 14 of them children as young as 6 years old. We just learned the 3 adult victims are parishioners in their 80s. The Minneapolis police chief just moments ago said all of the injured victims are expected to survive. The school includes students pre-K through 8th grade. This was the first week of school. The mayor of Minneapolis today expressing profound grief and frankly also some anger at the failure of our leaders to take sufficient, meaningful action to prevent the continuation of massacres like these in the United States.
And don't just say this is about thoughts and prayers right now. These kids were literally praying. It was the first week of school. They were in a church.
Moments ago, the governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz, said these kids went to school to find learning and curiosity, and they were met with something very different.
They were met with evil.
And like I said, they're going to make this on a Second Amendment argument when it should be about the mental health of our youth. You see how they kind of skirt that? Is like, let's talk about the mental health of our youth that led to this, because people with good mental health don't do this. And that's just the fact of the matter. I mean, the difference of, like, here's the thing. Violence will be committed off the, I guess, off the mental of the perpetrator. So it's almost like this was happening in the UK. They don't got guns, but there's a huge knifing problem. So let's be real. People want to commit violence. They will find a way to commit violence. You take away the guns, they'll get knives. If you take away the knives, they'll get rocks. You want to start taking away rocks? Okay, you're being petty. That's just how it is. So I always do say, hey, sometimes you may say, oh, no, this is where we need to release on the Second Amendment, start honing down on gun laws. No, I think we need to double down and start giving these teachers weapons or start putting real security at these schools if that's what's going down. And then that will solve most of everything. But I know what you guys want to say. No, we need stricter gun laws. And I'm like, no, we need to double down on the gun laws. So I guess we'll always be in this, cycle. But all right, now shout out to my man Sid. Shout out to my man Sid. He says Texan 96. You projecting, bro? Okay. And shout out to my man Texan 96. He says planting seeds and spreading truth. Skid marks. Praise Jesus. Skid mark. Praise Jesus. Oh man, he's hitting you with the Bible, my friend. And shout out to my man Lincoln. He says tampons in the bathroom were good. They helped plug wounds. But son of a bitch. Yo, too soon, my friend. Too soon.
And horror and death.
Whoa.
And we often come to these and say these unspeakable tragedies, or there's no words for this. There shouldn't be words for these types of incidents because they should not happen.
Police say the shooter died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound after using 3 different weapons to shoot dozens of rounds into the church windows from outside the building. Police are still working to determine a motive based on the ample evidence the shooter left behind. They did say the shooter did not have an extensive known criminal history.
We're also aware of a manifesto that the shooter had timed to be released on YouTube.
Yep.
This manifesto appeared to show him at the scene and included some disturbing writings.
Sources say authorities are evaluating, in addition to the manifesto, a series of videos posted to YouTube by a user identified as Robin W. They are trying to authenticate them and potentially learn more about the motivations in this horrific attack. The videos, which have been taken down, were first uploaded earlier today before the shooting. We have a lot more, and there's a lot of breaking news about this horrific incident. CNN law enforcement.
I wonder if I can find the videos. I'm pretty sure I can find them on X. Maybe. But this was here's the picture that he drew. So shout out to Megyn Kelly. They got a little bit of the manifesto, and this was one of the drawings that he drew. Now, let me go ahead and describe this. The kid had long hair. He got the gun strapped to his back. He got a pistol in there. I mean, he drew, but he drew himself to description. And in the mirror, there is a demon with some type of halo on top with multiple horns, looking very demonic in the mirror. So he's looking at himself in the mirror, and I guess he says, "I see demons," which is, well, extremely concerning. I mean, mental health, right? This is why I say it's about mental health and not gun laws. But for some reason, I see that the Dems have poor mental health, so I see they like to skirt that argument, huh? I mean, look, maybe we need to touch on this poor mental health aspect that you Dems like to run away from because you like to protect people with mental health. I mean, I'm sorry, you like to protect people with poor mental health. Example, transgender people. But we ain't gonna go too far into that right now. Let me go back to the video here.
Are dead. There are no words that can capture the horror and the evil of this unspeakable act. Children are dead.
A peaceful start to the day ends in tragedy after a gunman opens fire during mass at a Catholic church and school in Minneapolis, killing 2 children.
Any troopers responding, you've seen a lot more medical.
It happened just before 8:30 this morning, local time. Police say dozens of children were inside the mass.
It was like shots fired, and then we kind of like got under the pews.
No way.
It kind of they shot through the stained glass windows, I think, and it was really scary. And I just ran under the pew, and then I covered my head. My friend like saved me though, because he laid on top of me. But he got hit. He went to the hospital.
No
I was
way.
like 2 seats away from the stained glass windows.
No
So
fucking
they were like
way.
the shots were like right next to me.
Monday marked their first.
Hey, now I didn't know how right I was in my last statement. I did not know how right I was, but it's time we expose this shit. This is wild. All right, man. So apparently this guy was a transgender woman. So he was biologically male who identified as a transgender woman. Written on his guns and magazines were all things like "Kill Trump now," 6 million was not enough. Damn. So not only did he hate Trump, it was a pure anti-Semite. Hold on. This is the person who did it. When I say they protect people with poor mental health, was I wrong? Like the transgender community? I didn't know I was that right, but am I wrong? This is sad. Look at this. This is a guy. This is the kid who did it. Let's keep it going. There we go. Right there, all for you. Kill Trump now. I know some of my Dems are probably going like, hoorah, but well, what the hell? Suck on this. This is all stuff that this transgender woman was doing. I mean, God damn, I don't even think I could ever see a woman bringing herself to this. But I mean, Israel must fall like a phoenix. We rise from the ashes. Kill Donald Trump. R.I.P. and tear. Oh, I don't even want to know. And for the children. Really for the children. It's crazy. But let's keep it going. I mean, she got the whole manifesto up here for us. I guess I'll read this out later. Oh, never mind. No, to my family and friends, I don't expect forgiveness and I don't expect any apology. I have to hold much weight. But to my family and those close to me, I do apologize for the effects my actions will have on your lives. Okay. Please know I care for you all of you so much, and it pains me to bring this storm of chaos into your lives. Wild. So this will affect so many more people than the ones that are immediately involved. To my mother and father, I'm sorry I didn't turn out as you had hoped. You did not fail me. You gave me so much. I truly appreciate the love you have given me, and I feel I was raised to be a good person. Okay. Man, I've kept those traits of empathy, self-sacrifice, and good character. Please do not think you have blanked out or failed as parents. I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. If your parents, you ever listen to this, your son was a transgender woman. I'm gonna be real with you. You effed up already. Do not think you have failed me as parents. I was corrupted by this world and have learned to hate with life is life. Life is love, life is pain. There is too much to accept, too much things to put up with just to live. I'm tired of the pain this world gives out. Please move on and continue to give your love to my brothers and sisters and the rest of the world. They may not forgive you, but you need to move on from me. Okay. Forget my life and the pain I've brought. I love you both. Thank you for everything. I'm sorry. To my siblings, I'm sorry forever tainting the rest of your lives, your careers, lives, relationships. All will be turned upside down. I mean, damn, at least you know, but you didn't give a fuck. You still did it. Please hold on to who you are, not who I am. Change your names if you must. I wish I could tell you that before I go. Please know that. And this was the manifesto that this young man wrote, transgender woman. And this is the video he posted. This is the video that this young man posted. This is the video that I read out. This is the letter I read out to you. Transgender woman, by the way. Let's remember that. So when they want to, and remember, they're not covering this part of it. So shout out to independent media. Oh, it had pages. Oh, I just read you one page. Bro drinking a beer. Bullets.
Brought to you by BlackRock and ExxonMobil accepting.
I mean, he got his little vape. He got his guns and all this good stuff.
Why so curious?
The sound is absolute trash. I'm gonna see if I can actually find where he's talking. But yes, the man had quite the extensive arsenal for an 8th grader. It looks like what the hell type of arsenal did this kid have? Man, the anti-Semitic. I mean, he hates Trump. I mean, what's going on? Like, bro.
Maybe.
Yeah, so this is pretty much the video right here. Let's go get back to the coverage because, like I said, this is what they didn't want to show you because they want to ignore the mental health argument about it, but they'll stamp down on the Second Amendment like that. Like that honestly matters in a situation like this when mental health seems to be the main cause of it. But okay, gun clause, man, shut the hell up.
First day back at the preschool through 8th grade school.
During the mass, a gunman approached on the outside, on the side of the building, and began firing.
And let's go to my man Hellbat. Democratic commies always go for the guns first. I know, and I mean, and shout out Sid. I know Sid you probably got egg on your face because I probably showed the video before you wrote this, but make another tragedy political, huh, Sid? Nah, I pretty much just brought the facts to the situation. When I said mental health, I didn't know how right I was when we said mental health was probably the reason. And it was the reason, like it is 90% of the time. But okay, though, I'm just trying to politicize it. But no, I'm bringing truth to the situation that you guys like to run away from.
Firing a rifle through the church windows towards the children sitting in the pews at the mass. 2 young children, ages 8 and 10, were killed where they sat in the pews.
Minneapolis police rushed to the scene and entered the church to try and provide first aid to victims and also rescue some of the children who were hiding in the building.
You cannot put into words the gravity, the tragedy, or the absolute pain of this situation.
This man lives near the church and heard the gunfire.
I said there's no way that could be gunfire. There was so much of it. So it was sporadic.
He rushed to the scene and spoke to a survivor as he came out of the church.
He said it looked like just a normal Sunday mass. So it was full, of people and children. He just ran, when this fire, he said it seemed like it went on for eternity, but when it stopped, he ran out of the building.
Victims are now being treated at local hospitals, including Hennepin Healthcare, which says many of its victims are young. The chair of emergency medicine at the hospital says 4 of the patients required surgery.
9 of the 11 patients were pediatric ages. I can't remember the exact ages. I believe it's 6 all the way up to 14. That's the range.
God.
Police say the investigation is just beginning and that the gunman was in his early 20s and armed with a rifle, a shotgun, and a pistol.
This was a deliberate act of violence against innocent children and other people worshiping. The coward who fired these shots ultimately took his own life in the rear of the church.
This kind of act of evil should never happen, and it happens far too often.
Yeah.
Jake, anyone with children
I'm a member of the protected group of the left.
at Catholic
No,
school?
I'm going to be an asshole about this because I mean, you guys do protect these people, and here's the thing: this isn't the first time that a trans person went out and did atrocity like this, and this isn't the first time that they try to hide it.
But a religious school knows how important that first day is, that moment when everyone goes to mass, and quite often that special experience to kick off the school year is shared with family members. What is abundantly clear
I don't
here.
even know if it was an 8th grade kid. I don't even know if he went there because I'm looking more into it and I'm seeing that. I'm like, bro, does this look like an 8th grade kid to you? Like, I don't know. Maybe. Who knows? I'm looking more into it a little bit by bit, though. But at least I'm doing the due diligence. I mean, y'all was ready to push this off on guns. So, hey, it shows how much surface level research y'all be doing.
After hearing from the principal and the mayor is that what was supposed to be a very special day has been completely destroyed, lives upended. This has reached the Pope. The Vatican sent his deepest sorrows to the archdiocese here, who read a statement from Pope Leo earlier today. We'll have much more on that later in the show, Jake. But back to the investigation. What we know now is that police are looking into a series of quite bizarre videos. Some of them are rambling. Some of the information indicates that he had this real obsession with shooters and shows rambling written statements. Jake, finally, what we know is that the firearms were purchased legally and recently.
So, what I'm looking into now, he was a pro-Palestinian, of course, Jewish, transgender. He was Jewish as well. That is even crazier. And he had all this hate for, Palestine, all this 6 million wasn't enough, all that crazy stuff.
Jake.
Whitney Wild in Minneapolis, thanks so much. And we are learning a lot of new information about the shooter. We are trying to verify it and make sure it's accurate before we bring any information to you. A video posted on YouTube does appear to show the shooter rambling, saying things such as, I don't remember how far I went, and there's bugs in my skin, and I can't deal with this anymore. We saw a person flipping through notebook pages with indiscernible writing. Some pages showed dates, including today's date, August 27th, and a different video. You hear the shooter referencing a message left to the family.
Here's my note to my family.
Oh yeah, I
bring in CNN's Brian Todd, who is tracking.
Oh, so you didn't? Well, see, they didn't want to read you the note like I did. I at least read you the note. It kind of goes to show how they're trying to cover this up a little bit.
Part of this part of the story. Brian, what else are we learning about the shooter?
Jake, we've obtained significant new information on the shooter. Here's what we can tell you right now. The FBI has identified the shooter as Robin Westman, 23 years old. The agency is calling this, quote, an act of domestic terrorism, but the police say they do not have a motive yet to establish it as a hate crime. Minneapolis Police Chief Brian O'Hara says Westman has no prior criminal history. The shooter was armed with a rifle, shotgun, and a pistol, which the police chief said all were obtained recently and legally. They were purchased by the shooter. According to a yearbook obtained by CNN, Westman graduated from Annunciation Catholic's grade school in 2017. According to a social media post, Westman's mother previously worked at Annunciation from 2016 through 2021. Police are investigating, as Whitney pointed out a moment ago, online videos apparently posted by the shooter, which describe an obsession with school shootings. The videos show a rambling written statement with guns painted with slurs, with the names of mass killers, including the shooter at Sandy Hook Elementary School in 2012, and also some political messages in that rambling written statement. In the videos, which are titled with Westman's full name, the person recording them pages through this handwritten notebook. The notebook describes feelings of self-hatred and wishes to die. And the words, "I'm so sorry," are written in large letters on one page. The notebook also includes a diagram of the inside of a church, which appears to match the layout of Annunciation Catholic Church. The person recording shows themselves stabbing a knife into that drawing of the layout of that church while saying the words, quote, Nice. Jake, again, piecing together this information, all of it incredibly disturbing. And again, as I think people have been pointing out since this happened, you see obviously some real clues here.
And all right, guys, now what I've been looking into is that, well, there was only really one source that was trying to throw the Jew card on him, try to say he was Jewish. So I don't know, I wouldn't buy too much into that one. But what a lot of people are trying to say is that they're trying to use this as a way to, if I can word it correctly, allowing the government to censor and disarm any anti-Israel dissent. So they're pretty much trying to use this as a way to pretty much, say, oh, well, those who speak out against Israel, this is what they do. They really want to go out there and hurt people. And anybody who's anti-Israel needs to be designated as a terrorist organization. And I mean, that I know that's pretty extreme, but this is what people are trying to lead it to. But all right, though, let's see what the Minneapolis mayor has to say about this.
The mayor of Minneapolis joins us now, Jacob Fry, and you saw him briefly there in Whitney's reporting. And we are grateful to have you with us, Mayor Fry. Now, although it is horrendous to be talking to you under such circumstances and for this reason, I want to just begin with what the latest is you're able to tell us about the condition of those children. I know there are 3 elderly victims in the hospital, 14 injured children. We know a few of them might have been sent home. But what is the latest on how all of those victims are doing?
Well, this is an unspeakable tragedy, but how many times have you heard politicians say that exact phrase before? And yet these school and church shootings happen again and again. We have a number of professionals from law enforcement to medical that are doing everything possible for these kids and family members right now. And you have a whole Minneapolis family that is galvanized around a common cause, which is wrapping their arms around these families. And I'm so grateful for the teachers.
And here's the thing, Minneapolis, they got some pretty strict gun laws. So it's almost like, yeah, man, guns ain't the problem. They're not, because the people in Minneapolis, they got strict gun laws. Most people aren't riding around or having artillery like that young man does. It didn't happen in a red state. This didn't happen in a red city. This happened in one of the bluest cities in one of the bluest states by a transgender woman, a guy.
And the faculty that truly act.
Nah, but yeah, you're right though, because even I made that mistake. Because it happened at a school, people assumed that he was he's one of the kids. So people assumed that he was one of the kids because it happened at this school that was pre-K through 8th. But now that the facts are rolling out, he's actually 23 years old. 23 years old, transgender woman. What was his name? Robert something. Let me make sure I got that right, because I know they said it a couple of times, but to be honest, Robin Westman, that's his name. Robin Westman. And like I said, a church school shooter confirmed, trans identifying man, Robin Westman.
Acted in heroic fashion to save lives. I'm grateful for our law enforcement and our police officers that ran towards that danger when so many of the rest of us would have run in the other direction.
Everybody did, actually.
But here's the thing. Thoughts and prayers, while they're appreciated, they're not enough. These kids were literally praying. Of course, it's on us to talk about doing the right things, but more importantly, it's on all of us to act, to make a difference, so that it's not just, this should never happen again. I was listening to Laura just a second ago talk about how you approach these situations as a mom or as a dad, and that is the way you should approach them. These are not just somebody else's kids. Mm-hmm. Think about them as if they were your own. We all have titles in life, but I'll tell you, the title that matters most to me is husband and dad. Yeah. And we have to be thinking about our children in these scenarios, and this happens far too often.
So, Mayor, you talk about this. I mean, just as parents, and you and I are both parents, many people watching are parents or grandparents, and aunts and uncles and children in their lives. You have 2 young children, I know, who are around the age of some of the students who were victims of this horrific shooting. And there was an image today that I saw of you. Obviously, you woke up not thinking anything like this would happen in your life today, and it did. You were sitting on the steps of the school church today, the Annunciation School Church. I don't know if you can see. I don't know if you have what we call return, but there you are, alone, as police are then around you. What went through your mind at that moment as you realized that this is what you were facing as a mayor of this city, that your city had changed?
And I do feel bad for the man, because, like, trust me, you got to deal with the lost lives of your constituents on something crazy like this. Like, I'm not even gonna make it political. I'll be real with you. I feel bad. Like, trust me, I feel that man's pain. But let's get over here to, like I said, we're talking about this guy right here who posted a video like this.
Watch my 9mm go bang.
He got Jesus on the target practice. I mean, the kid was a loon. All the guns in the world. I mean, shit. As a transgender woman too. So, I mean, you know what? We don't even know which way he politically leans, but since he's a transgender, I'ma assume, and he got fucked Trump, I'm gonna assume he leans a bit to the left. I'm assuming he's a leftist. Not liberal, but a leftist.
Why so curious?
I just want to let y'all remember. Transgender male, 23 years old. When did that to Catholic kids? Christians, really. But I'm politicizing it. I mean, man, these guys politicize themselves. I'm just giving it to you straight, but I'm politicizing it. Okay. I mean, there's no narrative to fit here, guys. This just happens to be what it is. This was a transgender, most likely a guy who leans to the left, a transgender woman who went out there and committed violence against these kids. I'm not saying that, people on the right are incapable of doing the same. No, we've seen them do the same. I'm just saying, though, y'all like to act like y'all the party of innocence. So just remember this right here is that, I mean, not to make it sound so simple, but, guns don't shoot people. People shoot people. And it's not a gun problem. It's a mental health problem. If you guys really want to be intellectually honest about this argument. But okay. Keep ignoring the problem, though, that you guys kind of celebrate, which is this mental health problem. But let's get into, our man, Eric Adams. Because, hey, man, he's still hanging in there strong, even though it does look like Mondani's the sure win for this. So let's see what he got to say, because I'll be real. Even Andrew Cuomo got better numbers than this man.
The partnership between the federal government and the city and state governments is extremely important.
Not Andrew.
And I think there's a role we need. My role is to make sure New Yorkers are safe, and the numbers are showing we're doing that. And the partnership of making sure guns don't come into our city. And that's what we want to continue to do with the federal government. We already collaborate with the federal government every morning, 10 a.m. with HIDA, city, state, and federal authorities to go after shooters and those who bring guns into our cities.
When he talks about the National Guard potentially coming here to New York, and in the event that happens, is there anything you can do to counteract that? I mean, what would it look like if National Guard's members, you saw in D.C., 2,000 of them on the streets of Washington, if they were here, on 90th Street?
Well, the goal is the relationship between the federal government and D.C. is different than the relationship between New York City and the federal government. And again, our communications with the federal government is we got this. We removed over 23,000 illegal guns off our streets. We're witnessing record levels of decreasing crimes, homicides, and shootings in the first 6 months, and shooting victims in the first 7 months. And so we are very clear, always have been. I have never moved away from the public safety. That's the prerequisite to our prosperity. And we're going to continue to do an amazing job. And if the federal government wants to communicate with us and ask us to go to other municipalities and help them see what we're doing, we're willing to do that, because a safe America is a safe New York City. And we want to help any way we can.
I want to ask you about November election as it relates to that. One of your opponents, Andrew Cuomo, has said if Mamdani gets in office, then Trump takes control of New York City. Then Trump does put the National Guard here. Do you think that could happen?
Andrew would say anything to anyone to get elected. He created this. He passed the cannabis laws. I had to close down 1,500 cannabis shops because of the failed law he passed. He did the bail reform. That's the revolving door criminal justice system that we're looking at. He closed psychiatric beds. So every time you see someone push someone on the subway track because of severe mental health illness or stab 3 innocent New Yorkers, you have to ask yourself, why do we close those beds?
Yeah, I know, right? Why do y'all close those beds when y'all have, because they champion poor mental health. That's what the left does. And the reason why I played this video, because I knew, like, shout out to our man Eric Adams, he was gonna say it. It's like, bro, for some reason we neglect the mental health of people and then wonder why there's high crime.
Raise the age. We're seeing young people are victims of crimes more and more, and they're shooters as
like
well.
Them. Do you see how I'm kind of slow cooking you into this?
These are all of his bills. I had to fix his mess. And so Madani's call to defund police, his calls to legalize prostitution, his calls to empty Rikers Island.
Legalize
They're two of the same people. New York has come too far to go backwards with either one of them.
When I heard the president talk yesterday about cashless bail, I immediately thought of you because you have been one of the people who has talked about bail reform. Your police commissioner talked about bail reform on Friday with the friendly fire incident involving the officer. The president signing an executive order directing DOJ to look at these jurisdictions that have done cashless bail. What's your take on that?
Well, I've been clear. And I don't believe if someone steals an apple that we should hold them in jail because they can't afford to get out. But if you are possessing an illegal weapon, you commit one of the 7 major crime categories in our city, you are repeatedly an offender, we need to look at the criminal justice system that allows you to continue to go back and you repeat the crime. We saw what happened with the Custom Border Patrol agent. These were repeated offenders. We just had a shooting over the weekend. The individuals involved, they had several gun arrests.
Cover Adam bribing journalists. You won't. Bro, this is probably the first time I'm hearing about Adams bribing journalists. You're kind of just nitpicking because you can't defeat the argument of the left protects mental illness. So, I mean, you not want to move the goalposts for one time in your life, Sid, or do you actually want to stick to the argument and tackle this prevalent problem that's causing these school shootings? Because you want to blame guns, but you haven't been able to tackle that mental health argument, huh? And then you want to attack Adam because he kind of proves how the left does protect the mentally ill, and the mentally ill go out there and commit crime and push people onto train tracks. You didn't want to tackle that argument, but you want to talk about bribing journalists? Oh, all right, bro. Rudy Giuliani did the same fucking thing. Rudy Giuliani was taking bribes for all types of things, and he was a Republican, okay? Like, what do you want, my friend? Like, can we actually talk about the problem, or do you just want to always kick the goalposts down the field so you can try to make a point? That's useless. A useless point. And I'm sorry I'm grilling you on this, but bro, this is a real problem. You want to talk about journalist bribery? Kids just died because of some trans shooter's mental health, and you want to talk about journalist bribery? Do you hear yourself?
That just can't continue to happen. And so using bail appropriately, I think it would help us deal with the public safety.
And he's not on the right. He's an independent. He used to be on the left. He used to be anti-Trump. So that goes into y'all. You know that, right? This man used to be on the left. Now he's an independent. He was never a right winger. So what are you even saying? That's kind of leading more into my argument.
Issue we're facing in the city.
The president said, crime has continued to rise when they have cashless bail. Is that something that's happened here in the city?
When you remove...
No offense, that was the worst argument to make at this time. Knowing damn well he's not even a right winger.
Bail on those who commit serious crimes, it will impact your public safety. We are witnessing that over and over again.
The school system comes back next week. Should parents fear for ICE to be in their schools? In Washington, that was a big fear as they went back to school yesterday, with ICE saying that they may come to some schools of students. We saw a student in Queens, 6 years old, deported by ICE with her mother.
With a family. And so we want to be clear, ICE has not been in our schools. ICE, only way they could come into the schools with clear judicial warrants, or if they are looking at a condition where someone is fleeing, running into the school, a dangerous person, but that's the role of our police officers to do so. And we have been extremely consistent around this. Children should go to school. They're not going to be fearful of having ICE come into their schools. Their directives indicate that as well. People should go to the hospital if they need medical care. They should call the police if they need police assistance. And I know personally what happens when you fail to do that. My rookie years as a police officer, I had a Chinese immigrant that was afraid to call the police when he was being robbed. I took actions while I was off duty, but he was extremely fearful. People can't live in the shadows. That creates disorder, and we don't want that.
Let's go back to your career in the transit police. It's where you met.
Oh, guys, like y'all be trying to sweep these people up under the rug. I'm like, no, put them on the spotlight, man. Take these people to the mental house and let them live their life outside of the public. But when you guys don't care, you claim we're being too cruel. You say, oh, you guys just hate people. And then these people that you claim that we hate are going out and commit crime. No, we got compassion for these people. We don't believe that they're mentally well enough to be out here in society. And I'm not speaking about transgenders here. I'm not just gonna blanket blame all transgender because all transgenders don't do this wild stuff. This is probably like, I'm gonna be honest with you, this really isn't like I'm gonna say this. Don't blame all transgenders for this. Not me saying that transgenderism is good and I'm a champion of transgender people. I'm saying if you see a transgender person, don't assume that they're a school shooter. I would say that this does go into the ideology that the left, this does go into the position that the left tries to hide. Is that, oh, you guys hate trans and you don't really care about them. No, we care about them enough to where we need to bring up the topic of, yo, what's mentally going on with these people to where they're trying to push this on kids to where they think it's okay. And then the problem is they're willing to get violent about it. And we've seen this all over. And I'm not saying it's all trans, but we do need to highlight the issue, especially when it comes down to ideology like this, because this guy was trans. He was in a liberal city or on a left-leaning city, so he's most likely a leftist. And bro, and he's anti-Semitic, pro-Palestinian, and all this good stuff. And I'm pro-Palestinian, and you don't see me doing wild shit like that.
Ingrid Lewis Martin's husband, obviously someone you've known a long time. I just, we heard from you on Friday, but when you hear some of the allegations in the indictment, and indictments just show a piece of what is being alleged, and what did you make of some of the allegations you heard?
Well, first of all, let's think about this for a moment. Like I said, Ingrid's like a sister to me, and I'm pretty sure you have close relationships in your life. And the worst thing you want to do,
like, bro, what you said was bad faith, my friend. A bad faith argument is pretty much like you pretty much trying to, instead of tackling the transgender or the fact that he's in a liberal city argument, you try to go to Adams bribing. That's a bad faith argument, and it's kicking the goalposts. So bad faith yet again. I mean, I think you're talking to yourself. No offense, Sid.
Is not allowed.
But you might be talking to yourself on this
process. And when you're dealing with criminal cases, every word you say could harm that person who's.
And I heard, and you said that, oh, it's not even what Adams just brought up, how Cuomo, a Dem, closed down the mental hospitals. And because of that, there was actually, the crime went up. And this didn't come from S.E.T. This came from Eric Adams talking about Cuomo. So, like I said, bro, he's like, maybe you're not listening, but you need to start listening to understand instead of listening to reply. I mean, that is one of your main problems, Sid.
Dealing with that case. And I'm not going to do anything to harm someone that's like a sister to me. I'm very clear. She's in my prayers. She has an attorney. And anything that's dealing with that case should be brought to her attorney. I would not do anything that's going to be harmful to someone that's like a sister to me.
How would you say your week was last week? Because you had the situation with Ingrid, Jesse Hamilton as well. And then you also had the situation with Winnie Greco. Just what's your thoughts on what happened with Winnie Greco? And then also,
I'll be real with you. I'm kind of like, I thought y'all were better than this. I'm gonna be real with you, Sid, and my left that are lefties. I thought y'all be better than this. I thought y'all at least sit down and be like, you know what, S.E.T. All right, this is on us. This is on us. Like, all right, you're right. We do kind of cover up the whole mental health thing, but you can't say, but I would accept you guys hit me with this, but you can't sit here and say this is all transgenders. And I'm giving you guys that, but y'all can't even give me the grace of just like, hey, yo, y'all want to sit here and blame guns, but this is obviously a mental health problem. And it's low-key always been a mental health problem. At least you guys can do is recognize that this is a mental health problem and not it about, guns.
It was, I saw by Friday, it was a week.
Yeah, no, not to me. I had 237,000 migrants and asylum seekers. I inherited COVID. I inherited a city that was hemorrhaging jobs. I had thousands of illegal guns on our streets, ghost cars on our streets. Cannabis shops are open. People wrote off New Yorkers. Not only was I dealing with those who were committing crimes, I had to deal with rats everywhere. But look, everywhere that we dealt with, we got up every day and we did the job.
But the red envelope in a potato chip bag. I mean, when you heard about this, what did you think of it?
First, I want to go back. More jobs in our city history. 12 months of tourism. 12 months of Broadway, the best in the city's history. Unemployment drop, crime drop, illegal vehicles off our street. All of those things. I'm not going to be judged by a red envelope in a paper bag. I'm going to be judged by how I improved the lives of New Yorkers. It was a stupid thing to do. I don't understand the conversation she had with the reporter.
And let's be real, man. But I know I'm gonna keep on this subject. You know what? Let's be real. The kid was trans, pro-Palestinian. Let's be real. You can be pro-Palestinian on the left or the right. I mean, so it is what it is. But and leaning most likely as a liberal. So when you combine all those, I would say, leftist ideologies, liberal leaning positions, what do you expect? And I mean, let's be real. And then we got to also add in the fact that he had poor mental health. And then we all want to add in the fact that left-leaning media doesn't want to cover the fact that this was a transgender woman. They don't even want to cover that fact. They don't even want to cover that fact. So let's be real. You guys do like to hide the mentally ill. And now you guys want to frame it as compassion, but really this is brutal.
I don't have the history of it. It's not something that we would do in our campaign. I made that clear. I don't know what that was about. And now she's no longer volunteering
And shout out to City, so I never blamed guns. Dishonest motherfucker. What you mean? I'm not being dishonest. Bro, so you saying that liberals don't blame guns, lefties don't blame guns? Y'all do. Y'all do. And I wasn't talking about you directly. I'm talking about you all together. And then hold on, what's your argument then, Sid? Aren't you kind of being petty right now? You're being petty, G. Because now you're saying, oh, well, my argument isn't guns, but you're getting mad about me bringing up the mental health. Then why do you think it happened, Sid? What do you think, my friend? Come on now. If it's not mental health and it's not guns, then what are you arguing for? And what am I being dishonest about? It's like your tail spinning, my friend. Like, come on now, pick a side instead of just wanting to disagree with me. And shout out Elm. He says, real talk. Dems are the crime party. Hood certified. Hashtag hood certified. Hey, shout out to my man. Yeah, and trust me. Like they like to speak out. Bro. They like to speak from their ivory towers, like I said, thinking that they know the problems of the people at the bottom, but they don't know ish. Or else they would be like, you know what, Trump? Yeah, you do need to bring in the Fed into Chicago. Actually, yeah, you do need to bring it in. If they really knew anything about Chicago or how bad these hoods are. If they really knew anything, they would honestly shut the hell up.
She was never an employee of the campaign, and she was long time no longer in City Hall. So only the reporter and Winnie can explain to us exactly what that was about. I don't know what it was about, and it's not acceptable behavior on my part.
Let's talk campaign, because we've talked about the campaign plenty of times, private meetings, public meetings, where have you. You're polling in the single digits behind Mamdani. I've heard you talk about, the state of the race when you were running last time, but that was sort of during the primary. Now we're in the general election. Just tell me sort of what's your strategies to win in November, and how you think you could pull through.
Well, a couple of things. As I said over and over again, when you look at this distance from the primary to the election, the same time period, Madani was at 1%. No one called for him to step out of the race. And if we did, we would have been premature because he won the primary. And we need to be clear that seems to be a fact that everyone is missing. We also missing the fact that I was in third place in 2021 behind Andrew Yang, who was beating me by double digits. Some polls have me in double digits. Some polls have me in single digits. Polls had Andrew Cuomo up by 10% before the election. He lost by 12%. He was up 36%. So when you start to talk about the polls, the only poll that matters on election day, who's going to have the most votes? I must do what I'm good at doing.
It's probably going to be Mamdani, to be quite honest. But all right, though, FEMA workers put on leave after signing a letter warning Trump of, I believe it was insufficient funds. But we're going to get into this. Pretty much, they're trying to say that FEMA is not ready for what's about to happen. Let's get right into it.
Country marks 20 years since Hurricane. Breaking this morning, FEMA workers, have they been penalized for sounding the alarm and
I guess somebody asked where you live in Set. You know, I lived in a lot of places. But bro, I used to live in the projects in Brooklyn back in the day with my mom and my stepdad and all that good stuff. Before that, we was in the projects in Nashville. But then let's go past when we moved out of Brooklyn, and then we moved to the red state of Ohio. And we moved into the hoods of Columbus, Ohio. My mom worked her way up and got us into the suburbs of Columbus. Well, hoods of Columbus, worked her way up and got us into the suburbs of Columbus. So when I tell you that you people really don't know what goes on at the bottom there, trust me, you don't, because I've seen it all my life. And when I hear them talk about it, I see how like y'all just never been there. And I could tell, or you would be having a different tune. So I know who's actually been to the hood, who's been to the projects. I know, because we speak like we're from there and we know the actual problems. We don't speak like we're just some social justice warrior. No. If what I'm saying sounds harsh and authoritarian, it's because I actually know what's going on there. And your little softball way of tackling this is never going to work.
criticizing the Trump administration.
I'm talking to you Dems who act like y'all know what's going on.
Multiple employees put on leave after they signed a letter warning Congress that FEMA may fail Americans when responding to a disaster because all of the changes that President Trump has made to
facts. He's like, it's the on God, it's the niggas that ain't never seen the hood. It's the niggas that never seen the hood that's crying. Literally, it's those guys who, bro. And if it's the black liberals, bro, yes, the black liberals who grew up in the upper middle class who talk about Trump's an authoritarian. You ain't never been out there, bro. It's bad out there. And I'll tell you that right now. And you're talking to somebody who's actually experienced that type of violence before. So it's kind of crazy when people who never lived where I lived or where I stayed or where I've walked before try to tell me about the hood. It's absolutely hilarious. Like crazy talk.
The agency. It's late August. This is right in the middle of hurricane season. This is right when FEMA typically, historically, has been its most essential. And it comes as the country marks 20 years since Hurricane Katrina. This letter that the FEMA staffers wrote was actually titled the Katrina Declaration. More than 180 current and former staffers signed it. In it, they said FEMA should be shielded from political interference. And that letter accuses the White House of undermining its capabilities. Let's get Riccasina's Gabe Cohen. You reported on this letter. The letter went out. Today, dozens get put on leave.
Yeah, John, that's right. I mean, it was just 24 hours ago that I was on this program reporting on that open letter that was sent to Congress, really warning that the Trump overhaul of FEMA had undone, was reversing about 2 decades of what the author said was a lot of progress since the federal failures in the response to Hurricane Katrina. Now, 24 hours later, we're talking about at least a few of these workers, some of the ones who actually publicly signed their names on the document because many decided to remain anonymous. They have now been put on leave. That means they're not going to be able to do business for DHS or FEMA. They are still going to be paid, but they're really not going to be functionally operating at the agency. I spoke to one of those workers who received a notice Tuesday evening, as several did. She said at least 6 that she's aware of, although it sounds like the number could be quite a bit higher than that. She told me, quote, "I am disappointed, but I am not surprised. The decision doesn't just affect me, it increases the burden on my colleagues who are already overworked and stretched thin. I'm also proud of those who stood up, regardless of what it might mean for our jobs. The public deserves to know what is happening because lives and communities will suffer if this continues." Obviously, there has been a lot of concern internally at FEMA because of the overhaul of the agency at the hands of the Trump administration. They have instituted strict spending oversight over the agency. They have also installed inexperienced leaders that came from the Department of Homeland Security. And that, these authors say, is really undoing those reforms that were put in place after Katrina to make sure that type of failure did not happen again. FEMA, for its part, very much disagrees with the messaging here. They explained why those workers were put on leave, though, saying it is not surprising that some of the same bureaucrats who presided over decades of inefficiency are now objecting to reform. Our obligation is to survivors, not to protecting broken systems. But John, the irony here is a big part of this letter from these FEMA workers was essentially saying that the agency and its staff needs to be protected from political decisions, from political fire. And now just 24 hours later, we see the administration coming in and ousting the very workers who signed their name to that document.
You know, Gabe, based on your reporting, we heard the statement from them. To what extent do you think they anticipated this kind of response?
I think the reality is they did expect it, especially considering that earlier this summer, the Trump administration very similarly put about 140 workers from the EPA on paid administrative leave after they too signed a letter really dissenting to some of the administration's actions, their treatment of federal workers, and the regulations that they were putting in place related to the climate space. So these workers knew this was likely a reality. And I can tell you, I've talked to other sources inside FEMA who really felt like this was symbolically nice, but that they could not afford to lose any more of their colleagues, given that about a third of the full-time workforce from FEMA has already left the agency since this second term for President Trump started.
And given that it is late August, the middle of hurricane season. Gabe Cohen in Washington for us. Exactly. We'll let you get back to reporting on this. You've been.
Oh, man, I guess we'll see how that one plays out. So I guess these guys came together and said, look, man, there's something funny going on. I don't think we got the funds for it. And pretty much the Trump administration is like, yeah, I'm pretty sure y'all would say that. I mean, look at all the inefficiency you had during the Biden administration. So, I mean, I'm not going to take their, you know what? I'm not even going to take their words with a grain of salt, because I'm going to say this. We're going to have to wait and see at that point. We're going to have to wait and see, because we thought FEMA was going to be prepared for the hurricane in North Carolina, and they weren't. And we're going to think that FEMA is going to be prepared for whatever disaster happens under Trump. And I hope so. I hope they allocated their spending a little better than, than protecting illegals or immigrants that came through the TPS program. I hope they're allocating their money a bit better.
Welcome to Hannity. Our hearts, they are heavy.
Hopefully them FEMA checks won't be $700 again.
And they are troubled tonight after a horrific shooting in Minneapolis this morning, after a shooter opened fire on a Catholic elementary school while children were attending a mass to celebrate the start of the school year. Now, according to police, the shooter was dressed in black, wearing a mask, and shot through stained glass window.
And shout out Hellbags, like, look at them with the side eye ever since the North Carolina debacle. Yeah, low key. I feel you on that one. Like, bro, it's the side eye ever since that debacle went down. Like, ooh, I mean, the planes were hard to land. It was hard to get supplies in there. The planes couldn't find nowhere to really land. $700 checks. I mean, bro, shit show, complete shit show. So, yeah, I give them. I'll let the left and the right have that one. Everybody's side eyeing FEMA ever since that. It's like, you know what? We're gonna have to wait and see.
Those multiple.
And on a shout out to my man Elm, he says nobody know about getting robbed, walking to school by a crackhead with a screwdriver in the second grade with the Jane Sport on. He said Galveston, Texas. Oh yeah, he too. Like, dog, they really don't know about that. It would be the crackheads, or it would be the older guys who trying to get you to smoke weed and all that wild stuff at a young age, or they try to get you to. Bro, I mean, I'm talking about people trying to turn you into crackheads at a young age, guys. You have to start saying no at a young age. I mean, shoot. You know what probably the worst part was? You know how, like, in the hood, there's always these untethered dogs all over the place? It would be getting chased by a pit bull. Like, me and my friend would get chased by pit bulls every now and then. That used to be bullshit. And he did get bit by one, but that's because his ass was listening to music and he ain't want to run when he seen everybody run. But that's your fault, G.
Children are now dead, and police say that the shooter took his own life. The FBI director, Kash Patel, announcing on X this.
Hey, bro, you remember walking into these, the bandos for fun and then finding a crackhead somewhere and then accidentally, punching them? The good old days.
This afternoon, the suspect has been identified as Robin Westman, a male born as Robert Westman, and that the FBI is now investigating the shooting as an act of domestic terrorism targeting Catholics. Shortly thereafter, DHS Secretary Kristi Noem confirmed more disturbing details about the suspected shooter, saying he was a man claiming to be transgender and revealing that he had writings on his rifle magazines that read, quote, "For the children, where is your God?" and "Kill Donald Trump." Now, following the—
and I showed you guys the video proof of that
horrific shooting, President Trump did post on Truth Social saying that he has been briefed on the shooting, asked everyone to join him in praying for the victims. Now, the White House later issued a proclamation honoring the victims, ordering flags to be flown at half staff at all government facilities all across the country and U.S. outposts across the world until sunset on Sunday. But this horrific act of violence during the first week of school only underscores the need for more law and order and safety and security all around the country. This is something that we have been debating for weeks, something that President Trump now has put in the forefront of his agenda over the past several weeks, with a lot of opposition on the left, sending in the National Guard troop, for example, to clean up crime in D.C. Think of this.
I know they cleaned up crime. There ain't been no murders in like 12 days, and now these guys are picking up trash and cleaning up the streets. How could you be mad?
I know our capital, Washington, D.C., of all the capitals around the world, we're number one in terms of the homicide rate. And that means of any other country on earth. How could that happen? Also, the president warning other blue cities that he may do the same there to keep people safe and secure. How do you pursue happiness? It is a prerequisite for happiness to have law and order and safety and security. But once again, Democrats, they can't help themselves, wasting zero time, rushing to judgment and politicizing this tragedy before even having the full story. Former Biden White House press secretary, circleback Jen Psaki, trying to pin the blame on Donald Trump with a bizarre tweet citing his efforts to crack down on crime in D.C., which, by the way, for the record, circle back, he has been enormously successful in doing. She wrote, quote, "When kids are getting shot in their pews at a Catholic school mass and your crime plan is to have National Guard put mulch down around D.C., maybe rethink your strategy." No, they've been stopping the murder rate, the homicide. We went 2 weeks, almost 2 weeks without a single murder. They usually have 3.6 a week. Maybe somebody at MSDNC can open a book, learn something about AI, do a little bit of research instead of just peddling lies and conspiracy theories. What about the dozens of the school shootings that have taken place, by the way, when Circleback Psaki was press secretary? Did Biden do anything to prevent those? And then, of course, you got, Gavin Nutty Newsom. Can't help himself, posting on X, as he's been doing nonstop for the last several weeks now, writing, quote, "We can't even make it through the first week of school without mass shootings, and the GOP will continue to do absolutely nothing while our kids are being gunned down."
Protect our kids from who? You guys? I mean, there was somebody on y'all side. Protect our kids from who? Y'all? Yeah, I mean, protect our kids from who? Because y'all love the mentally ill. Let's be real. Like, how can we protect our kids when you champion these people?
This is sick. Wait a minute. These are the same people that supported 12 to 20 million, we don't know the actual number, unvetted illegal immigrants from over 200 countries, the people that they let into our country, known terrorists, and then harbored them with their sanctuary city and state policies, like out in the United Socialist Utopia of California, spending tens and tens of billions of dollars on illegal immigrants for healthcare, education, criminal justice. Look at who they are. These are the same people that have been protecting these people from the police and trying to stand in the way of ICE agents doing their job. The same people that support defund, dismantle, no bail. Let's reimagine the police madness and send in social workers. The same people that, have turned this guy, alleged the MS-13 gang member and alleged wife beater by his own wife, Kilmar Abrego Garcia. They are his biggest champion. This is the party of Abrego Garcia.
Here's the thing. The Dems just need to quiet down until that Abrego trial goes through. I mean, y'all shouldn't even try to release the man so ICE can play with his life like that. But I mean, hey, for some reason, you Dems always think y'all helping, but you're making things worse. Well, not all of y'all, but most of y'all.
The same people fighting against deportation, the same people fighting for amnesty, the same people fighting against Donald Trump's efforts to make D.C. safe again. Now, they weren't the only two, by the way. More Democrats, more allies in the legacy media mob took to the airwaves today, of course, to politicize this tragedy in a disgusting but yet predictable way, mocking people offering their prayers because the shooting happened in a church. Take a look.
All the work we've done to ban these automatic rifles and to do something when it comes to the background checks and everything, and we keep getting thwarted.
Don't just say this is about thoughts and prayers right now. These kids were literally praying. It was the first week of school. They were in a church.
He's expressing something.
They were shot by somebody who hates prayer, who hates Jesus, who hates Jews. I mean, who hates damn near anybody who voted for Trump, apparently. So, yeah. Trust me. Like, I get what he's saying, but the guy who shot them, this is a huge mental case. I think you guys should have been on top of, at least, or at least admit and be like, all right, guys, look, he was a transgender, anti-Christian guy, and he was on our side. But this is not an image of what the left stands on, and we would like to separate ourselves. We would do better to tackle mental health. Man, damn it, I damn near should be a Democrat. I'll be a better Democrat than the guys you got now.
That I know you feel and most people feel, which is a combination of sadness, but raw rage. That's right. Forget about thoughts and prayers. These kids were literally praying when they were murdered through a church window.
It's unbelievable. So as Democrats, is there any sense that they can take a moment, a horrific moment like this, kids sitting in pews, literally getting shot to death, and try to do something to help it from stopping again, particularly as it comes to assault weapons?
So I wouldn't expect a lot to change here. I think we've seen this pattern.
Really, this is madness. This is insane. They are the party of defund, dismantle, no bet.
That kid had all the guns in the world, and he had fuck Trump on them. I mean, trust me, he wasn't. He didn't have the same stance as most Dems probably have on guns. I'll tell you that. But yeah, and it was in a highly liberal city, highly left city, like Democratic city. So where's the blaming of MAGA on this? And I mean, I don't even know how you guys can honestly blame guns. I mean, this is the perfect example. Like, this guy was in a low-key, like, I'm gonna be anti-gun city in a way. Like, I'm gonna be real. He probably wasn't even supposed to have all that type of gun, all that type of machinery. But this goes to our point, though. You can't protect the citizens from the criminals who can acquire guns through stricter gun laws. You low-key leave those people to be victimized by those who don't give a damn about the gun laws. Like, you think that guy was following the gun laws? No, he wasn't. He wasn't in no red state that had gun laws where you can just have an arsenal like that, I believe. Like, let's be real. So you can't blame red states. You can't blame the gun laws. Then who do you blame? The people. And I blame the person there. I'm not blaming guns. I'm blaming this man's mental health.
Laws reimagine the police. They are the party of sanctuary states and cities and amnesty. And here's the saddest part. School shootings are preventable, and simple, basic, common sense actions can mitigate these tragedies if we have the desire to stop school shootings. This is the first.
Hey, man, shout out M. He's like, what man will knowingly tell his son to be Jesus? I mean, no, facts. I mean, that is a bit wild now, especially if you're a Christian telling your son that.
First thing you should do. Every school in the country should have a metal detector.
Metal detector with armed security. I mean, what do you mean? Like, bro, let's go all the way there. Like, why not? There are kids, right? They need to be protected, right? Let's go all the way there if this is a prevalent problem that's happening on both the left and the right, because both the left and the right can become school shooters, and it happens. So let's just stamp it down. Let's just leave out the whole gun argument, and let's just say, look, either teachers need to carry guns, or we need to have we need to have more law enforcement at schools with heavy artillery, because you never know what type of armory, you never know what type of guns these guys are showing up with. They're not showing up with your basic pistols.
You have them at airports. You have them when you're around elected politicians. By the way, they have armed guards around them. You have to control the entry of kids and the perimeter around every school. And by the way I would do it, I would hire retired military, trained law enforcement, retired with concealed carries. They should be in every school in the country, along with metal detectors, along with a secure perimeter. Yep. Now, for these people that you hire, you could even do it and not pay them. What do you mean? Hannity, everyone's going to work for free? No, offer them tax incentives if they are willing to volunteer a certain number of hours a week. I believe these common sense practices would help mitigate.
Look, bro, you ain't got to pay income tax or property tax if you're out here protecting our children. I mean, that's fair. That's pretty damn fair. I'm cool with that. No property tax, no income tax for those who are actually out here protecting these schools. You're providing that perimeter. Somebody looking crazy walk up on there, you're the first one to engage them before they even reach the school. We need that. And we need you to be armed.
These horrific shootings probably put an end to it. And by the way, that means they pay no local taxes, no state taxes, no federal taxes. And if they put in enough hours, how about no estate tax if they pass away and they get to do what they want with the money that they've already paid taxes on? And, the left's rush to immediately blame Republicans, race to blame guns for every tragedy. It's sad, but it's pathetic, but it's predictable. Hey, Sean Hannity here.
I know, right? Like, as soon as I seen the I already knew a position the left was going to take. The problem is I didn't know how bad it was going to be. I didn't think it did, like, what, literal transgender, liberal city, all that crazy stuff. He got the clips, he got the anti-Christian rhetoric. Who knew he'd fit the exact leftist uniform? It's kind of crazy. Who'd have knew? And, the left like to portray that MAGA is the school shooters and that we're the guys who want to go out and hurt people with our guns. But, when you got a great example of this guy right here, what could they say?
Fox News alert, tragedy in Minneapolis after a shooter opened fire during a morning mass at a Catholic grammar school. 2 children killed, 8 and 10 years old, and 17 others were rushed to the hospital. 14 of them were children, but police say they're all expected to make it, thankfully. K-8 students were marking the first week of school when bullets started blasting through the windows of the church.
During the mass, a gunman approached on the outside on the side of the building and began firing a rifle through the church windows towards the children sitting in the pews at the mass. Shooting through the windows, he struck children and worshipers that were inside the building. The shooter was armed with a rifle, a shotgun, and a pistol. This was a deliberate act of violence against innocent children.
Students were ducking for cover as round after round pierced through the pews. One 10-year-old said his friend saved his life.
We just got into mass. There was 3 minutes after. It was very scary. It was my friend got shot in the back. He was laying on top of me, making sure I was safe, and he got hit. So that was really brave of him.
And you have a nick on your neck?
Yeah, I don't even know what it's from. Kind of looks like debris or something.
But that came from during this?
Yeah.
How are you feeling? You seem pretty put together here, but it's got to be tough.
Yeah, I'm just confused kind of because I never thought it would happen.
This should never have happened. But how did it? The shooter was identified as 23-year-old Robin Westman. Robin changed his name from Robert back in 2019 when he was a minor. His mother submitted the name change on his behalf. The court documents say the minor child identifies as female and wanted her name to reflect the identification. So Robert changes his name to Robin and mows down pews of kids at a Catholic school church and then offs himself in the parking lot.
Well.
And it wasn't just a random church. His mother used to work there. CNN reports Westman actually graduated from there in 2017.
And you see how the left didn't want to go into no details about this man, but the right is, of course. That's why I listen to both the left and the right side of news, because it's one side is going to leave out certain details that the other side is going to leave. You know what? One thing that Fox News rarely ever covers is, the bombing of churches and hospitals in Gaza. But best believe CNN is going to cover that. All right, then. See, you got your examples.
And this morning, he showed up with a rifle, shotgun, and pistol. Hours before the shooting, Westman posted a 20-minute video where he paged through a manifesto, described himself as severely depressed and suicidal. He fantasized about the Sandy Hook massacre and said he loves to see kids get shot.
Whoa.
The morning shooting was obviously premeditated because there was a drawing of the floor plan.
Now, I read the first page of the manifesto, but maybe I need to find the whole thing.
In his notebook. The video also shows Jesus's face as target practice.
Which is
Westman
true.
wrote things on his weapon.
All right, now he's describing this video, but man, come on, man, y'all being suckers. Bro, play the video. It's all good, man. I got y'all. This is what the video. This is the video. Jesus on the cross. I mean, bro, Jesus on target practice. A whole lot of weaponry with a whole lot of writing on it. Like, this man had hella time, but like, huh? Like, he was ready for anything, honestly.
I'm the woker, baby.
You know, I wish news would be more explicit. Like, come on, just show us the video. So yes, about 1 minute and 44 seconds of just him flexing ammunition, psycho killers, Skybird, like all this wild. Well, I guess change my name status is crazy that he wrote that on there. Fuck everything that you stand for. Okay. For the children, I mean, the mixed messages is crazy. Kick a spick is crazy. And use racist. Hold on, wait. Fart. Hold on. No way. Yeah, he was a straight up racist. Yeah, he ate everybody. He even had a fart nigga. There you go. Right there on the barrel. He's a straight up. Bro, this man did not care about us. Oh, there you go. Right there. See? Complete racist.
The big boy.
The fat
Rip and tear.
killer sadist. Yeah. Yeah, that's who we're dealing with, guys. That's the guy we're dealing with.
Such as, where is your God? Israel must fall. Nuke India. Suck on this and kill Donald Trump. The FBI.
My man hated everything. You know what? I take it back. This man wasn't no liberal, or he wasn't this man wasn't a liberal. He wasn't a conservative. This man was just full of hatred. He just hates everybody. Everybody.
Investigating this as an act of domestic terror and a hate crime targeting Catholics. But police say they don't know anything.
Well, you know what? I take my statement back. Yeah, this guy, he's not a leftist. He's definitely not no leftist or a liberal, because I'm be like, bro, not even y'all go that far. Okay, know what? And it maybe actually. I've had some leftists call me the N-word before when I disagree with them, so maybe. But shout out M. He says they're trying to start a war, bro. Teach your kids how to work the meta. Kids, the closest to God. Brand new kids. Weak men. Damn. All right, then. He says try to teach your kids how to work the meta. I mean, shoot, make sure your kids learning coding and machine AI, I guess. I think that's what my man Elm's going with this. And if he is, I completely agree. Shoot, take your kids out of these, I would say this, out of these old practices that we used to have of, sociology and all that cool stuff, and just turn to STEM, because the world is leaning more towards STEM, and it does look like AI is going to take all those jobs like teaching and social working and all that crazy stuff. You know what? Maybe not policing, though, unless we got, the RoboCops coming out soon. But you ever seen those Tesla robots, then we might just be in for it.
We don't have a motive at this time. Obviously, we're open to any possibilities at all, but we don't have a motive.
The media says the motive doesn't matter. It's the gun's fault.
I think it's either like you have to be honest and say what will actually work, which is what nobody wants to hear, which is that there are just simply way too many firearms and they're way too accessible. And even if they are
too powerful,
and they're too powerful, even handguns too.
So a suicidal transgender who hates Trump's Christians and Jews shoots up kids
and black people
at a Catholic school, and the media wants to take away your handgun. So how are we supposed to protect ourselves from trans shooters? The media is bad at pattern recognition. We aren't.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, yeah, you can't protect yourself from, I don't know, far right wing shooters. You can't protect yourself from far left wing shooters, like without you having a gun yourself, or without us just realizing that, maybe we do need to have security around these schools, or have the teachers have guns and all that good stuff. Like, we need to do something, because we can't take away our guns, because the Second Amendment is for us to protect ourselves from people who have guns and from foreign invaders. And just in case our government ever, decides to turn into a dictatorship, we have guns to protect ourselves. Actually, I do find it kind of funny that Dems argue against the Second Amendment while also crying about a dictator. And I'm like, we're going to need that Second Amendment to fight a dictator, right?
Just 2 years ago, another trans 20-something walked into a Christian school in Nashville with a rifle and shot 3 kids and 3 adults. They buried the manifesto and locked down the case. We've seen trans shootings in Colorado and in Maryland. They even shot up an ICE facility in Texas. And it seems like half of Antifa's trans. A couple of they-thems just got popped for firebombing Teslas. The mayor of Minneapolis says, you can't say that.
Anybody who is...
And I do kind of get your point where they're trying to say they're trying to attack the innocents. And because, yes, they are trying to attack the innocents, kids closest to God. I mean, closest to the innocence of it.
Using this as an opportunity to villainize our trans community or any other community out there has lost their sense of common humanity. We should not be operating out of a place of hate for anyone.
No. It's not operating out of a place of hatred for trans. It's just, we're like to highlight the mental illnesses that you guys protect. Like, that's it. We're highlighting that. It's not about hating trans. We don't believe that every trans person is going to shoot us. But we do sit there and look at y'all kind of crazy when you act like these people can do no wrong.
We should be operating from a place of love for our kids.
Especially when it comes to sexual assault crimes. But that's a whole nother topic.
I don't hate anyone who thinks they're trans. Nope. I feel sorry for them.
Yeah, and God, it's like, we really do feel sorry. We're like, damn, all right then. I mean, yeah, you went that far in your delusion, and now you not even proud of the fact that, I don't know, you were born a man or whatever. Like, you hate yourself, like, for something that you couldn't really control. Like, trust me, I always do say, God made you a man for a reason. And if you want to hate the fact that God made you, you're always going to hate yourself. I mean, it is what it is. That's why I feel bad for them. Cause I'm like, bro, you hate yourself for something that you can't control. And nothing in the world, no type of sick mutation surgery is ever going to change that.
But statistically, the trans population has been prone to violence. That's not villainizing, that's reality. And if you can't recognize reality, you're in danger. We love the American people, especially American children. And if they're troubled and believe they're somehow a girl trapped in a boy's body, we want to get them help.
Yeah, it's like, we want to get you help. It's like, and I know somebody was trying to be completely insane and try to say, oh, well, what about the pedos? No, they're a little different. They're way different. You can't save those guys. But these guys, you can save. You can steer them in the right direction of somebody that they can just get in their ear before they're doing crazy things like this. So, no, it's not a hatred of them. It's, we just feel sorry for them. Now, pedos, I mean, trust me, we hate them as much as you hate them.
We don't want to give them hormones and operate on them. Society shouldn't be trying to produce more trans kids. We shouldn't be encouraging an emotional disorder or whatever this is. And doctors should stop profiting from it. Great Britain ended child sex change surgeries. They said it's barbaric, and they're right.
Good job.
And
good
politicians
job, Brits.
Should stop elevating the trans issue like it's the civil rights struggle of the 21st century. You see it all over Minneapolis.
Minneapolis will continue to be a safe haven for our trans community.
For being a safe haven for transgender individuals.
We have sued them for gender affirming care. Yes, we are not going to scapegoat our transgender community.
When our children tell us who they are, it is our job as
when your children, when your children tries to sit there and say they're the opposite sex of what they are, you sit them and say, look, You stupid, okay? You're a little kid.
Stupid.
Okay, you're not a girl. If my son told me, Dad, I think I'm a girl, I'm probably gonna slap him and be like, no, you're not. You're not a girl. You never will be a girl. And you know what? Let's go watch some videos and let me show you why you need to respect what it is to be a woman, like what a period is, what giving birth is, what feminine energy is. And all this will show you why you can never be a girl. And you should never disrespect women by even trying to say that. And that's why he got the slap in this hypothetical situation.
Grown-ups to listen and to believe them.
So when your 9-year-old tells you he's a horse, do you let him sleep out in the barn and eat hay? What are we doing here? Just a few years ago, the psychiatric community classified transgenderism as a mental illness. Then doctors went woke and removed it as a condition, and now millions of young Americans are identifying themselves as trans.
Yeah, and I have a family member who could attest to that. I mean, they're confused as hell. Like, been a psychologist for, 30, 40 years. International, does talks all around the world. And this man will sit there and tell you, like, bro, I don't even know where this came from. He's been doing this for years, for longer than a lot of these woke psychologists have been in their practice. How long as a lot of these woke psychologists has been living, this man has been doing this psychology stuff. And even he's like, bro, what the hell are y'all talking about? Like, no, if they're a guy who thinks they're a woman who wants to be a boy, or a man who wants to be a woman, there's something wrong with them. That's what sensible psychologists still say, if they got some sense to them. But these woke psychologists who've only been doing this for maybe 4 or 5, maybe 8 years at most, trust me, they think they know more than the guys who've been doing this all their life or for as long as they've been alive.
And getting high fives. When someone has an illness, we should treat it instead of affirm it. We don't celebrate schizophrenia. We don't encourage depression. Teenagers are confused. Sometimes these things are just a phase. And if they're not, all right, then a grown man can wear a dress. If he wants to do that in America, he has that right. Man. We're a pretty darn tolerant society. But the left's weaponizing trans kids and turning them into culture warriors. And they've been turned loose against the church, schools, and Trump. You see it, I see it. The trans clan has a militant wing, and it's out for blood. They're taking lives, defiling churches, and freaking everybody out. And some politicians...
And here's the thing. I can't even blame this on the left, because when you dig deep enough into this, it's like you can blame the left for hiding the fact that he's a transgender guy, but for the racist stuff, for the pro-Palestinian stuff, I mean, you can't really blame them for that one. Like, I don't know. I'm not going to sit there and put this all on the left, but I will sit there and wag my finger at the left for hiding this mental issue that he was a transgender woman, or he was a man who wants to be a woman. So, yeah. I mean, if y'all had just been honest about that in the first place and not try to hide it like this is not a mental issue, then, we'd be on the same side, really. And this wouldn't really be a political issue. And Fox News wouldn't be able to spin this on the leftists, on liberals.
Are doing more to protect shooters like Westman
y'all did it to
than
yourselves.
soft targets like schools. In 2023, private schools in Minnesota begged Governor Walz to fund more school safety. They told him it was an urgent and critical need. Minnesota had an $18 billion budget surplus, but the governor didn't do it. Instead, he turned Minnesota into a trans sanctuary, and his attorney general, Keith Ellison, sued Trump so they can keep
tampons in bathrooms. I mean, the same people they were protecting went out there to hurt their children. That's tough. You know what? I would say this. A member of that community went out there to hurt those children.
Castrating little boys. Tim Walz failed. Our leaders keep failing us. They failed us during COVID, on trade, on immigration. They say they care about kids, but they locked them down and oversaw an obesity and chronic disease epidemic. And now there's a growing trans epidemic, and they won't even admit it, just like crime. They created a crisis and then lie about it and blame you for not being compassionate. But their fake compassion is getting people killed.
Want even more Fox News on YouTube? Become a Fox News Patriot today.
I'm weak. I know my left guys will say, more Fox News? You must be kidding me. But all right, guys, let's go over to our man, Steven Crowder. Let's see what he got to say about this.
If all it is a story to you, and some kind of moral archetype, then it'd be pretty shitty for a dad to have his son crucified, wouldn't it? There'd kind of be another way.
Oh, you know what? Before I go off on this video, I did want to play a quick little clip. You know, a clip that was introduced to me a while back. Not sure who sent it, but it was pretty informative. And this is why I try to watch my language when I talk about liberals and leftists. So walk through this with me. Because you know what? Hey, man, I know you're MAGA, but you may be a liberal.
What's the difference between a liberal and a leftist? This question,
and yes, it's PragerU, and yes, I know it's Zionist control, but chill.
Dumps most people because they think liberal and left are essentially the same. But they're not. In fact, liberalism and leftism have almost nothing in common. But the left has appropriated the word liberal so effectively, almost everyone, liberals, leftists, and conservatives, thinks they are synonymous. But they're not. Let me offer you 6 examples. 1, race. This is probably the most obvious difference between liberal and left. The liberal position on race has always been A, the color of a person's skin is insignificant, and B, those who believe race is significant are racists. Meanwhile, the left believes the very opposite. To the left, it's the liberal attitude toward race. It's unimportant. That is racist. That's why the University of California officially lists the statement, there is only one race, the human race, as racist. And liberals have always been passionately committed to racial integration, while the left is increasingly committed to racial segregation, such as all black dormitories and separate black graduations at universities.
Yeah, and then, you know, when a bunch of white people go make a whites-only community, they lose their shit.
2, capitalism. Liberals have always been pro-capitalism because liberals are committed to free enterprise and because they know capitalism is the only way to lift great numbers of people out of poverty.
Yep, only capitalism can take you from the bottom to the top.
It is true that liberals want government to play a bigger role in the economy than conservatives do. But liberals never.
Well, and I'll give liberals this: they want the government to play a bigger role in terms of rolling back like toxic capitalism, or rolling back the parts of capitalism that don't benefit us and that only hurts us. So I say like the liberal position would be more like RFK Jr.'s position on stamping down these food companies who profit off putting all these preservatives that poison us in our food. That's a liberal position, really. I know we adopted it as maybe like a right-wing MAGA position, but really it's a liberal position to sit there and try to regulate these corporations who practice extreme capitalism that hurts the American people.
Opposed capitalism, and they were never for socialism. Opposition to capitalism and advocacy of socialism are left-wing values. 3, nationalism. Liberals believe in the nation state, whether that nation is the United States, Brazil, or France. But because the left divides the world by class rather than by national identity, the left has always opposed nationalism. So, while liberals have always wanted to protect American sovereignty and borders,
yeah, and apparently now that you do that, you're a fascist, you're acting like Hitler and all that wild stuff.
The left is for open borders. When the writers of Superman were liberals, Superman was a proud American whose very motto was truth, justice, and the American way.
I mean, yeah, 90s, 80s Democrat. Don't go too far. Don't go too far with the Democratic Party because then things get a little racist. But, you know, in the 80s and 90s, this is where they were cool.
But that all changed a few years ago when left-wing writers took over the comic strip and had Superman renounce his American citizenship to be a citizen of the world. The left has contempt for nationalism, seeing it as the road to fascism. Better that we should all be citizens of the world in a world without borders.
Which is honestly globalist. That's straight globalist. That's a globalist ideal. No borders. We are of the world is one. I mean, we're all just one big happy family. We should all work like that. And let's be real, that doesn't really work.
4, view of
and it tends to trample over people's traditions. But hey,
America. Liberals have always venerated America. Watch American films from the 1930s through the 1950s, and you will be watching overtly patriotic, America-celebrating films.
True.
Virtually all produced, directed, and acted by liberals. Liberals were quite aware of America's imperfections, but they agreed with Abraham Lincoln that America is the last best hope of Earth. The left, however, believes the left is the last best hope of Earth and regards America as racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic, violent, and imperialistic. 5. Free speech. No one has been more committed than American liberals to the famous statement, "I wholly disapprove of what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it." But the left is leading the first widespread suppression of free speech in modern American history, from the universities to the tech companies that govern the internet to almost every other institution and place of work. Of course, the left claims to only oppose hate speech, but putting aside the fact that the left deems hate speech anything it differs with, protecting what you or I might consider hate speech is the entire point of free speech. 6. Western civilization. Liberals have always championed and sought to protect Western civilization. Liberals celebrate the West's unique moral, philosophical, artistic, musical, and literary achievements, and have taught them at virtually every university. The most revered liberal in American political history, President Franklin Roosevelt, often cited the need to protect Western civilization and even Christian civilization. Yet when President Donald Trump spoke of the need to protect Western civilization in a speech in Warsaw, the left-wing media, also known as the mainstream media, denounced him. They argue that Western civilization is no better than any other, and that Western civilization—
it was the all cultures are equal argument that was complete BS.
—is just a euphemism for white supremacy. So then, if liberalism and leftism are so different, why don't liberals oppose the left? In a nutshell, because they have been taught all their lives to fear the right. But as one of the best-known liberals in America, Harvard Law School professor Alan Dershowitz said, "As a liberal, as an American, and as a Jew, I far more fear the left than the right." Dear liberals, conservatives are not your enemy. The left is. I'm Dennis Prager.
All right.
To help keep these videos—
shout out Prager. But all right, now let's get into a leadership exodus. So pretty much people at the CDC are pretty much upset about what RFK Jr. is doing. Let's get into it. And it's a little bit of a story behind it, but hey.
Okay, so it's back to school season. It's also about to be flu season, and a new COVID-19 variant is sweeping across the United States. So it's one hell of a time to get this.
But yeah, though, I know. Tell me if you guys agree with that assessment of, leftist versus liberal. Because I'm not even going to lie. It does make it sound, I know, it makes you feel like a little bit of a liberal now. It's like, God damn, hold on. I said it's the liberals, but it's really the leftists. Yeah, I know, right? You kind of see how they kind of work themselves in there with the liberals to kind of mask themselves as tolerant or maybe just a little bit applicable. I'm like,
It's news today, and a lot of it is still developing. But here's the headline from the Washington Post. CDC director ousted after RFK Jr. pushed her to change vaccine policy. Now, according to the Post, CDC Director Susan Monarez was pressed for days by Health and Human Services Secretary RFK Jr.'s administration, lawyers, and other officials over whether she would support rescinding certain approvals for coronavirus vaccines. And Monarez reportedly resisted that pressure, prompting Secretary Kennedy to, quote, urge her to resign for not supporting President Trump's agenda. The Post reports that Monarez even went so far as to enlist the help of Louisiana Senator Bill Cassidy to try and stay in her job. But that reportedly only angered RFK Jr. Tonight, lawyers representing Director Monarez are pushing back on these reports, saying that she has neither resigned nor yet has been fired, and that she will not go quietly. They write in a statement, quote, when CDC Director Susan Monarez refused to rubber stamp unscientific, reckless directives and fire dedicated health experts, she chose protecting the public over serving a political agenda. For that, she has been targeted. Dr. Menares has neither resigned nor received notification from the White House that she has been fired. And as a person of integrity and devoted to science, she will not resign. Now, just moments ago, the White House.
I don't know. I like her to explain herself. So what's so, unfounded? I mean, what's this crazy crackpot like method that they have that you're just like, this is no way, like, what are we doing here? Like, this is no way how we should be practicing how we do our medicine. What was it? Or what was it? Because the CDC is something disease and something else. It's escaping my head right now. I'm having a slow moment. But shout out to my man Hellbat. We have any arrests for flag burning yet? No, we don't. But it is funny how it was a big argument on our stream 2 nights ago. That was a major argument.
House released a statement saying that Dr. Menares has now officially been terminated by the White House. Tonight, at least 4 other top CDC officials have resigned in what appears to be a coordinated response to all of this. I should note that the CDC director is not some holdover from the Biden administration. She's not a deep stater, as they call them. This was Donald Trump's handpicked choice to lead the CDC. She was confirmed by the Senate less than a month ago. Since that time, we have seen a deadly shooting at CDC headquarters by an anti-vaccine extremist. We've seen hundreds of current and former CDC staff members sign an open letter urging Secretary Kennedy to stop spreading vaccine misinformation, please. And we've seen widespread criticism of Kennedy's decision to kill vital vaccine research, including from Trump's own Surgeon General during his first term.
But let's be real, though. The mRNA vaccine research was pretty unfounded, and it was proven that it had like bad effects, that y'all try to clean up. So it's pretty much you're trying to tell RFK Jr. to stop exposing you guys as the real crackpots. It's kind of seems like the meanest projection that the crackpots who came up with that whole COVID vaccine are the same crackpots that are telling this man, hey, yo, shut the F up and stop telling people about us. Okay, man. All right. Stop telling people about the vaccines and how they might have allegedly caused a spike in autism in the community. Well, among the American people, like, come on, stop telling people about that. Like, stop telling people about COVID and how we may have possibly caused cellular damage to them. Like, stop telling them about that. Okay, man, come on.
Vaccine research, including from Trump's own Surgeon General during his first term. But the Trump administration's response to all of that is not to get rid of RFK Jr., if only, is to try and get rid of the people standing up to him, even the ones Trump himself appointed. They were confirmed by the Republican Senate.
Yeah, but doesn't mean they can't be wrong. I mean, that's the funniest part about it. Like, doesn't mean they can't be wrong. It doesn't mean she's just not on. She might not have been like another. What was I to say? Like, I would say like a Powell or a Pence or something like that. It doesn't mean that they just can't turn on Trump on a dime or they can't turn on the agenda on a dime. Remember, these people still get lobbied. Corporations are still in their ear. I'm pretty sure there's some vaccine or some pharmaceutical company that's probably in her ear telling her, yo, tell RFK Jr. to calm all this stuff down. He's trying to ruin our moneymaker. So, hey, just because they're Trump appointed doesn't mean that they're infallible. Doesn't mean that they're just and like they can't be corrupted. That's why we sit here and we cover these guys all the time. I mean, like Kash Patel. I mean, I think Kash Patel's a bit corrupted. I don't think he's doing what he said he was going to do with the FBI. Just because it's Trump appointed doesn't mean they're infallible and doesn't mean we're not going to sit there and criticize them.
Is leaving the agency, according to the health department, who posted on X, Susan Menares is no longer director of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. We thank her for her dedicated service to the American people. She has only led the agency for about a month. And remember, the agency is going through a lot of changes that we have been telling you about here under Health Secretary RFK Jr. I want to bring in Berkeley Lovelace Jr., who's been following this for us and joining us now. Do we know why, Berkeley, she is suddenly leaving the agency?
Yeah, so we haven't been given a reason other than this tweet from HHS that she is no longer at the agency. And this just comes just weeks after gunmen opened fire at the agency's headquarters in Atlanta, which left one police officer dead. We were told that she did plan a meeting, an agency-wide meeting for Monday, but then that was abruptly canceled as well. And this also comes today when RFK Jr. announced that there would be restrictions for the upcoming COVID shots for the fall as well. So we're not exactly sure why she was ousted. She did join, she was confirmed in late July, and she's been a longtime government scientist.
So walk us through how this kind of fits into all the changes that we have been seeing happening at the health department.
Yeah, so Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has been criticized over his moves on vaccines. And also in June, he replaced all members of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention Vaccine Advisory Panel. That's what makes recommendations for vaccines, and insurance companies are forced to recover. So it's unclear whether or not Monterez agreed with those decisions as well. Of course, there will be some upcoming decisions about the COVID shots in the next few weeks as well. There are also some research going on about potential links of autism. There are some rumblings that Kennedy will either could find potential links between vaccines, which have been thoroughly debunked. So right now, it's very unclear. Also, a source, Erica Edwards, our colleague, has also just discovered that 3 other CDC leaders have also just resigned as well, following Monterez's ouster.
All right, so it's fallout at the CDC, which is the Center for Disease and Control. Well, yes, the Center for Disease Control. Yes, CDC. Wow, finally came to my head. But yeah, all right, so it's finally going down there. No, I'm actually happy because there do need to be some debate going on in there, apparently, because everybody was just so on board with the mRNA vaccine that, trust me, now they have extreme distrust amongst them. So it's necessary. And here's the thing, though. The CDC is the main reason why people were getting hit for misinformation or medical misinformation during COVID, for trying to even have different remedies outside of the vaccine. Like, bro, you couldn't even talk about doing something different outside the vaccine, or that's medical misinformation, even if it worked. Even if it worked. And then you couldn't talk about none of the negative side effects of any of the vaccines that were out at the time at all. So you can't talk about the negative side effects. You can't even talk about any replacements to the vaccine that could be used instead of taking the vaccine. Or you get hit with medical misinformation, which is crazy because some of the medical advice they were giving you outside of the vaccine were actually worked.
Berkeley Lovelace, thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for being on this, Berkeley.
We thank you for watching, and remember,
I think somebody said ivermectin. Bro, people just said, bro, just go out there, exercise, get sunlight, take some vitamin D pills, and you'll be good. And they said medical misinformation. I'm like, what? Like, bro, that's like basic health, that's like really basic health. Like, that's basic health advice right there. Like, what the hell? But hey, man, crazy times. Now, apparently, let's get into this, because let's get into our man, Bibi Netanyahu, Benjamin Netanyahu, Prime Minister of Israel. So the Net Boys interviewed this man and it went real bad. I mean, it went bad to the point where these guys had to interview Nick Fuentes right after. And that other one, Palestinian comedian. I forgot his name. He was on Piers Morgan. But yeah, PBD did the same thing. And apparently interviewing Benjamin Netanyahu and not coming after this man's neck is like, I don't know why. It's like forbidden now. It's like you can't interview Bibi Netanyahu without coming at his neck. And I think people are being a little bit unreasonable. Not that I agree with anything this man does. I do believe he's a war criminal and he is committing ethnic cleansing, at least at the highest level, genocide. But I'm not going to sit there and say that you can't sit there and have a cordial conversation with him. Like, I don't know what they expect out of him or out of PBD and Nelk, but I would say this. I think they expect him to ask more hard-hitting questions. And here's the thing. I don't think you can ask hard-hitting questions with these world leaders, or they'll just drop the interview. And I think you don't want like a 20-minute interview, because as soon as you ask Bibi, I'm like, hey, yo, what's going on with that starvation? What's going on with these IDF reports or what's going on with these IDF investigations? You keep cracking down on those. Let's read those out. That's going to be a 20-minute interview. You're only going to get an hour-long interview. You kind of just let the man propagandize you, which is, I don't agree on. If that's the case, I wouldn't even interview the man. But let's get into it. Let's hear PBD explain himself, because I watched the interview and I'm gonna be real with you. I mean, like, let's be real. I like the PBD podcast. When it comes to the topic of Israel, there's like only one real one on there, and that's Vinny. Only one real one that's gonna call out Israel is Vinny. Adam is gonna completely shill for him. PBD is gonna shill for him. I mean, not too much. PBD is at least reasonable. But Adam, I mean, bro, Israel can do no wrong. But let's get into it.
What I shared last night, I took screenshots. I want you to read a couple of these messages that was sent to me yesterday. Okay?
On X?
On X. Yeah. I want you to, like, this is the kind of stuff that, can you put the camera on Vinny to get his reaction? Okay. These are the types of DMs I got last night.
So,
Actually, read it to yourself. Okay.
I mean, that's there's no. I wouldn't be able to say that out loud.
I can't even. I don't even want to read this.
It's
I don't even want to put this out
No,
there. No, I don't even want to put this out.
Death and all that.
But you know what it is, and this is times 100. Okay, and so for me,
yeah, he got a lot of bad publicity, a lot of bad DMs, and I'm just like, well, bro, let's be honest. You didn't really talk about the genocide there. You didn't talk about the children dying. You didn't talk about nothing. You talked about military spending, bro. I'm gonna be honest with you, and I love PBD. I watch the podcast a lot, but when it came to that interview, I was like, dog, you kind of did the same thing that Nelks did, and it's like you asked for the problems that they got. Except you're standing 10 toes down, which I respect. I respect you standing 10 toes on it, but don't act like you weren't going to get the same heat that the Nelk boys got. Like, come on now, bro. It's almost like I almost feel like he did this for the attention of getting the hate mail and then trying to give out this propaganda of, oh, well, these are what these pro-Palestinians are like to get hateful. No, bro. Nah, you knew what you were doing with that interview.
Funny, because I'm not one that is, sitting here trying to side here, side there. This is my position where I stand. I lived in Iran. I saw what happened. You're not going to be able to change my mind. That's where I'm at. Okay. And, Israel's got 15 million people. These other guys got a couple billion people. These guys have access to a lot more power and bots and influence than these guys do. It's just, they're going to be louder. You can't help it. So they're going to be able to show as if this is a better argument than this. Good luck winning that argument, 15 million to 2 billion. It's not 10x the size. It's 150x, 140x the size is the difference. They're 140 times bigger if you compare the two, okay? That's the audience, 130, 140 times bigger. So you can't be naive and not realize, oh my God, but look, that person's getting this many more retweets and they got, what is the word? There's a phrase that if somebody puts a tweet below you and they get more, views. Ratio. They got ratio. Yeah, of course that's going to happen. You think if I'm on that side, I'm not going to put 1 million bots to work? There's places there's businesses for this. But if I have someone on that Israel is furious, like let's just say if I have Nick Fuentes on, you know what Israelis are going to say? So disappointed in you. I can't believe you sold out. I can't believe you did this. They're going to say those types of things. Okay. And
but here's the thing. I'm pretty sure you would ask Nick Fuentes more hard-hitting questions than you would ask BB. That's the problem. Like, we know you would grill the hell out of Nick Fuentes. We champion you for doing so. But yeah, like even I got some things on Nick Fuentes that I would like to address because I don't think his rhetoric about other races actually help anything. Actually, Nick Fuentes caused more division than he think he does. Actually, Nick Fuentes think he kind of brings people together in a way, but he kind of doesn't. He kind of enrages white people to hate other races and think that they're better than them. Actually, he kind of does influence white supremacy. Here's a wild part about Nick Fuentes. I do agree with this man on political aspects. Like when it comes to geopolitical stuff and all that good stuff, I agree with him. When it comes to American policies, I do agree with him. When it comes to race, like family and all this good stuff and all that, like, or African history, or I would say history in general, I disagree with him on a lot. It kind of just shows that, I mean, shoot, you can disagree with a racist. You can also agree with him on some things as well.
And maybe even try to actually get the interview to be flagged. Okay. Like when we had Tommy Robinson on Minnect, story came out from the Times. I don't know if you have the story, Rob. Type in the Times. The Times could type in Tommy Robinson, the Times, and Minnect. Okay. So they did a massive story, the Times. Okay. With the story. They came. I don't know if people know this or not. Instagram blocked the Minnect account from being able to run ads for a year because of this Time story. Tommy Robinson charging $20 a minute out of his personal coach to the far right, the self-styled anti-Islam activist, and this is from UK. They reached out directly to Facebook to have this happen in Minnect. Go a little bit low, Rob, if you can go through it. Now, obviously, our lawyers reached out. Everything's getting squared away.
I mean, what you mean? Tommy Robinson, I would say this. I don't like where people take Tommy Robinson's message. Because when I hear this man talk, he doesn't really sound too, I don't know, is like anti-Islam. I'm not sure. I haven't heard him in a while. I haven't heard this man speaking like a year or so. But when he usually speaks, he's usually trying to report on the crimes of these rape gangs that some people in the Muslim community are protecting. And this is not all Muslims. I think I've even heard him say, yo, this is not something that all Muslims do. This is just a radical group that's protecting these pedophiles or these rapists in their community. Like they don't want to give them up. end up protecting them. And here's the thing, mainstream media in the UK is protecting these guys as well. I mean, they act crazy, and then for some reason, the UK media just tries to hide the fact. I mean, he was telling the story about how there was this Pakistani kid, I believe, or well, let's say this, he was an Arab kid who was pretty much terrorizing an entire school. But then when the media framed this, the media tried to frame this kid as some type of honor roll kid. He never bothered nobody. This is all just Islamophobia, when it wasn't. It was just people trying to call out a bad apple. And because this community, and because the Islamic or the Pakistani community was hiding them, now there's just this bad name on Islam altogether. You know, they support pedophilia and all this wild stuff, and it got out of hand. So, hey, it is what it is.
It's from UK. They reached out directly.
Like, I like what my man was highlighting, but I don't like where people took the message.
To Facebook to have this happen to Minette. Go a little bit low, Rob, if you can go through it. Now, obviously, our lawyers reached out. Everything's getting squared away. But if you go a little bit lower, the attacks they created a fake account on Minette to ask him questions and videos. And if you watch every single one of the videos, there is nothing that he says that's anything major. Our lawyers watch it. Everybody watch it. Go all the way down, and he talks about me and Patrick Bet-David, the founder of Minette, and he's doing this. They're sharing all the Minecks publicly, right? Okay. So the UK woke audience wants to get you canceled. Okay. Then you got Israel, they may want to get you canceled, but when you say anything that you have Netanyahu on, they want to kill you. Messages like, we're going to find you in the streets and see what we're going to do to you. Who the hell talks like that?
Yeah, low key.
Who talks like that? Who you think?
But here's the thing, I was telling PBD, on both sides, they talk like that. On both sides, if you speak out for the Palestinian children, I mean, people are going to send you threat messages just for that. They'll send you a threat just for that, or they'll try to call you a protector of terrorism just for speaking out for children. So, and then on the other side, if you speak out for, I mean, the Israelis, I mean, they're gonna sit there and try to threaten you and say, oh, you want to hurt the children, oh, you want to starve these kids and all this wild stuff, but that's not where you're coming from at all. So trust me, I understand like where both sides low-key take the heat for their opinions. And it's a shame that people can't hear other opinions without getting violent or without thinking that, you know, you're just an extremist.
You think a 22-year-old kid learn how to talk like that? Or you think his parents talk like that? You think the guy's father talks like that? Who talks like that at the church? You don't talk like that to somebody. But that's the common thing. So last time when everything's done, we're talking about it. I'm asking you guys, here's what I want to do tonight. I went on Twitter, Rob, if you can go on Twitter, and this is what I did. I said the following. This is my style, guys. I said, I'm officially done for the day. Kids are asleep. Tico went to sleep. We're having a great conversation together. I said, ask me any respectful questions about today's interview with PM Netanyahu. I'll answer any questions for the next 30 minutes, fire away. I went about an hour. Let's go through some of the questions, Rob, if you can show the bottom. So how much did they pay you directly or indirectly? Zero, not offered, no received. We haven't taken any sponsorship money for 2 years.
That's right.
Both sides like to make claims that influencers get money from Qatar or Moscow.
Yeah, but somebody, I think they... Now, I'm not sure if this is true, but I did hear people try to dig into this, man. They said, yo, you have Israeli investors, but you say you don't got no sponsorships. I mean, okay, I get you have no sponsorship, but you can't act like you speaking out against Israel is not going to affect some investments here. But okay. But no, they do not take no sponsorships from nobody that I know of. And they don't, and they sell their own merch. They have no sponsorship. Their sponsorship is themselves. What was it? What's their slogan? Damn, it's something. The future is always bright, which is a good slogan.
So I just argue the ideas and don't be lazy to some money is related. It's money related. Go to the next one. Patrick, respect for taking a direct time. Gut level questions. You've grilled CEOs for one bad quarter. Netanyahu has had 3 decades of quarters, which any surprises, fresh body counts. Rob, can you please press show more? Fix. So here's the scale peeler. If a future leak shows the IDF had hard real-time drone footage, 347 October 7, and still waited 6 hours to scramble, will you book the PM again, look him dead in the eye, and make this recite timestamps? Dead serious, no gotcha tone. You gave me him stage. I'm asking if you'll hold the stage. Okay, here's what I said. That was a question that I wanted to ask, but Trigger Pod did a good job asking it a week ago, so I didn't see a point in asking the same question twice. Thanks for being respectful. Great. Next. Why do you think all the people who...
Wait, so you didn't answer the question? That was a question I wanted to ask, but Trigger Pod did a good job a week ago. Okay.
Asking the same question twice. Thanks for being respectful. Great. Next. Why do you think all the people who tout just ask questions are trying to cancel you for literally conducting an interview and asking questions. I think X isn't for everyone. I don't blame people for getting emotional whenever an interview is done with Prime Minister Bibi, but I prefer a respectful exchange like the one we're having so far.
I would just say this. I mean, it's like this. If somebody, I wonder if somebody ever interview a leader of a mosque. I hope everybody keeps that same attitude, because you're right. He shouldn't get no slack for that. He just interviewed a world leader. I don't believe in the Nug Boy should have got that type of hit. But I would hope that y'all keep the same energy for the opposite side. Like, if somebody interviewed the Iranian foreign minister or a Hamas leader or a Hamas soldier or anything like that, I would hope y'all keep that same energy of being able to hear both sides. Because I'm able to, and I'm not getting emotional about it. But I do see where people is mad saying that it was softball interview and all that good stuff. And yeah, it was, but what do you expect? Like, I don't really expect any world leader to get a hardball interview, or it's going to be like a 10, 20-minute interview.
He's an actual genocidal.
He's damn like a waste of time. But shout out to my man Zolov. That slogan always remind me of nukes. I'm weak. Shout out Zolov. Hey, man. Haven't seen you in a minute.
We'll go down in the history books as such. Do you feel dirty having hitched your name to this? Not at all. I understand the sensitivity with an active war that's taking place with many innocent lives being taken. Can't stand seeing any of it. Next, let BB know there's a ton of people worldwide that support him. And I said, I believe he knows that, but they're losing the digital climate to their opposition. Unfavorability rate is very high according to Pew Research.
Yeah.
Why give him the platform? What are the advantages of that? I'm not one that goes to sleep worrying about who I give the platform to and who I don't.
Yep.
I talk to people I'm interested in. This isn't the first time nor the last time people don't like a guest I have on. There will be many more.
I mean, I have the same perspective as well. It's like, I don't really... I'm like, oh, Seth, why do you play Nick Fuentes videos? Seth, why do you play this, that, and the third? Because I'm interested in them. I don't care if I even disagree. I'm interested in people I disagree with, and I'll play them, and I'll hear them out. I mean, I don't, and here's the thing. If anybody, even on my side, if somebody on MAGA tells me don't listen to this liberal, I'm going to go listen to that liberal. If a liberal tells me don't listen to this guy, I'm going to go listen to that guy. Especially if you're telling me not to, that you just put interest in my head now. You better off not even mentioning the guy's name. But all right.
Why don't you ask him if he would debate opposition like Nick Fuentes? And why don't you press him? Were you intimidated? I said, I've expressed my feeling about Nick and others. Their approach causes high-stakes situations downs to not happen. No one wants to sit down with someone who they know won't have a respectful conversation. He's too capable and talented to use certain words that he does. I think Nick even responded to that. Go in that to see if he jumped in words that he to have a respectful conversation. He's too capable and talented to use certain words that he does. I think Nick.
Oh yeah, I've expressed my feelings about Nick and others. Their approach caused high stakes situations down. Well, I would say this. I don't think Nick Fuentes is out to sit there going like, cause no, Nick Fuentes says the N-word on his show. He says the N-word outright on his show, and he don't give a damn. It is what it is. But he's not going to do that on other people's shows, especially if you ask him not to. I've seen this man go a lot of hours and do hella shows without using the N-word. But I do hear what he's saying. That and Nick Fuentes tend to enrage people on his lack of knowledge of African history and how he kind of just shits on the entire African culture, history, and civilization. And he don't know shit about it. But then he got these people out here thinking that they know about African culture when they don't. And I think that's one of my main arguments that I know I could cook Nick Fuentes on, because he kind of acts like the Southwest African civilizations never existed before the Europeans got involved. It's like, to Nick Fuentes, Africa didn't become a place until Europe pulled up. Africa didn't have any type of civilization or economics until Europe pulled up. And that's like the biggest lie you can literally sit there and tell. But he literally got people out here believing this. And this is where I always have my disagreements with him.
He even responded to that. Go in that to see if he jumped into that one or not. Okay, so then go back. Maybe it's a different one. Rob, if you can go back and, okay, as a Christian, as a Christian, how could you do that? You have children. It's painful to see how ugly this was. I lived in Tehran from 78 to 89, saw a ton of things a kid should never see. Breaks my heart and would love to see the whole thing be done. Unfollow, I'll block to make things easier for you.
Good. That was my favorite.
Be done.
Right.
Unfollow, a kid should never see. Breaks my heart and would love to see the whole thing be done. Unfollow, I'll block to make things easier for you.
Good. That was my favorite.
I keep going lower. Does he think his approval rating will improve with Hamas defeat? I'm not sure he's concerned with that. I believe he sees himself as someone that was put on the earth to finish a job on behalf of his people. Agree or disagree, that's how I view his role.
Okay.
Let's see what else is there. Was anything unrestricted? Restricted? Nothing was restricted. Anything else? Even Nick responded. If there's a Nick responded, I wouldn't even mind reading his if you can find it. Maybe it's lost in the few thousand comments. Anyways, so the point is, I want to have this more often. I don't think X is for everybody. I literally don't think X is for everybody. I think X is a place where a lot of people get. Let's see right there. Okay, so here we go. You platform Tate and use the same kind of language. Anyone who has seen my interviews knows I'm cordial and respectful, including on your own network with Adam. It's your prerogative, but I don't think anyone is buying this excuse. And Nick, great to see you here. Tate is half black, half white. His father is black. I believe you're white and Hispanic. He's talking about the N-word. Yeah. I may be wrong. By the way, you are cordial. And I believe you're white as I'm cordial. Where a lot of people get, let's see right there. Okay, so here we go. You platform Tate and use the same kind of language. Anyone who has seen my interviews knows I'm cordial and respectful, including on your own network with Adam. It's your prerogative, but I don't think anyone is buying this excuse. And Nick, great to see you here. Tate is half black, half white. His father is black. I believe you're white and Hispanic. He's talking about the N-word.
Yeah, that is true, though. He's like, yeah, Tate is. He's like, oh, you let Tate use it. Tate's half black. Like, bro, chill. And yeah, his father's black. I believe your father was white and Hispanic. So it's like, dog, you kind of have no claim to the N-word. And now here's the thing. I don't even think we should still be using the N-word, but it is what it is. And it's just the word. It is just the word. And I don't think that us black men should be jumping out our seats ready to throw our lives away and crash out over some guy using a word.
Yeah. I may be wrong. By the way, you are cordial in interviews. Adam actually said that. However, you do get carried away post-interview at times when you react. And then is there a follow-up there? Is that it? Maybe that's it. No, okay. Seems like the goalpost is moving. Now the issue is that I'm using the N-word in my reaction. Not necessarily. I actually wouldn't mind sitting down and having a conversation with him. I'm just telling. Yeah, what I'm saying to him is.
Hold on, though. What did Nick say, though? He said, seems like goalposts are moving around a lot. Now the issue is that I'm white, using the N-word in my reaction post-interview. That is true, though. No, let's be real, Nick. I'm be honest with you, bro. The way you did Candace after that interview, yeah, a lot of people are kind of fearing your reaction. And you've done that multiple times. Like, you'll have an interview, everything's all cool, we're cordial, and then after that, bro, you're on a rampage. You're like scorching the earth on them. So I hear PBD on that one. He's like, was this much scrutiny applied to Tate, Bolzarian, Netanyahu, and Rossellini? Tate, not really. But Dan Bolzarian's kind of on your side, Nick. So let's be real. Of course, it's your show, but the rules seem a bit arbitrary here.
And having a conversation with him. I'm just telling. From Nick. Yeah, what I'm saying to him is he's capable. He's able to improve these words. He doesn't need to do it. He would be able to put himself in platforms to debate. This approach doesn't allow you to be wider. It gets you on the smaller, younger guys. But if you want wider, some things need to change in words. What's the chances of?
That's very true, though, because like Nick Fuentes, his content is for the younger guys. Like, I do believe people who watch Nick Fuentes is like younger than him. Nick Fuentes is like, what, 26, 27 years old? So, yeah, we got a bunch of young white guys who take everything he says as face value and riding with it. I mean, dog, anybody in their 30s is not really going to rock with your message like that. And I think he'll grow eventually. He'll grow out of some of these talking points eventually, hopefully, God willing. But, hey, only time will tell. But yeah, a lot of people who are on the older side, it doesn't really digest Nick Fuentes' content well, especially when he gets to talking about race. When he talks about geopolitics, I mean, bro, everybody of all ages can tune in and hear this man out, and we're going to be like, yo, you're cooking. But as soon as you talk about race, it's like, all right, bro, yeah, this is some childish BS.
This guy's sitting in front. By the way, even when I sat down with Thomas Russo, how respectful was that guy the way he spoke? Rob, how would you put him in the level of the way he's spoken? You think I sit there and I support the Patriot Front? No. But the guy spoke in a very interesting, respectful way. We had a great conversation together. Yeah. I'm very comfortable talking to anybody. I grew up in the streets. I'm not uncomfortable with it. But for those who enjoy,
so did that white first individual, like the guy who started the white first community. I mean, he spoke pretty like respectful. He didn't get bombastic about how he feel about other races and all that crazy stuff. It's like, yeah, That's what I'm saying. But these guys are older individuals, like Thomas Russo. He kind of aligns the same way with Nick Fuentes. And hold on, then only 26. Really? Hey, nah, then Nick don't even got an excuse. Then I take that back. Nick, you don't got no excuse if that's the case. Because Thomas Russo carries himself pretty well. And I'm gonna be honest with you, he don't need to be using all those words and all that. He leads a whole Patriot Front, I believe. Or is that wait? What is it? What does this man lead again? I'm trying to remember. Is it Patriot Front? I think so. But yeah, he does all that at 26. I mean, then yeah, let's be real. Yeah, he hasn't, like, Nick Fuentes had no real excuse for his rhetoric or how he communicates himself. If at a certain point he is just coming from, well, one, being funny, and two, maybe a bit of a side of insecurity, but it is what it is.
Respectful way. We had a great conversation together. I'm very comfortable talking to anybody. I grew up in the streets. I'm not uncomfortable with it. But for those who enjoyed it, awesome. For those who didn't and would never want to follow up seeing the interview, there's a few things that Bibi said that he's never said before. One, when asked about Trump, would the Hamas attack happen without if Trump was the president? That's one. Number two is when I asked the question about the finances, because their debt to GDP ratio went from 60% to 75%. They've spent $130 billion on this war. And U.S. only gives them $3.8 billion a year. I think U.S. has given them $30 billion in weapons that they actually have to buy. So it's actually money coming back that they got the weapons. But for the most part, when you're looking at something like, hey, this debt thing, are you going to come back and ask us for money again? Is that going to be taking place? Tom, what was your thoughts? Because I know you watched the interview apparently a couple times. What was your takeaway?
So there's a couple things that stood out to me that were maybe not directly related only to Bibi. His comments about Biden saying, okay, you can defend yourself on October 7th, but don't go into Rafah. No, I don't want you going into Rafah. And then Blinken calling him a week later and saying, Anthony Blinken, the real president, calling him and saying, hey, we told you about the embargo, right? We're going to, you can't go in there. And he said, look, we have to do it. If we have to fight with our fingernails, we have to do it. You're not the one that's at war here. It just showed how much Biden was kind of out to lunch and Blinken was really the guy that was in the back there.
Yep.
So I saw that. Also, I didn't know, and I looked it up, where he said there are Gazans now fighting against Hamas in their own neighborhoods, and we have helped them. And I looked it up, and I'm like, okay, wait a minute. Is this one or two guys? Is this three? I wanted to see.
All right, guys. Now let's go ahead and get into a bit of geopolitical hour. But I'm gonna hit you on some documentaries. Let's go with Al Jazeera. They did a pretty good 25-minute little documentary, little mini docu-series on what's going on with El Salvador. The gang crackdown, President Bukele, how I kind of made an example of maybe we need like a soft-core, extremely soft-core version of that. But all right, guys, let's get right into it. How long is your sentence? 100 years before conviction. Damn. In El Salvador, thousands of alleged gang members are being held in a huge purpose-built prison. They were all hitmen, charged with carrying out orders from these organizations. President Bukele has broken the cycle of violence. Regime put me here. All right. Rights group says tens of thousands of innocent people have been swept up in the crackdown. Yeah, he locked up everybody. Look, this is how Bukele carried it out. Let's say your friend is part of MS-13 or maybe your cousin. You will get locked up with your friend or your cousin just off the affiliation. You're getting locked up with them, and until they prove that you're not also an MS-13 gang member like your cousin or friend, you won't be released. If you're also ganged up with your friend or cousin, you'll be locked up in C-COD. If you are not and they prove that you're not gang affiliated, they will let you go. So they pretty much just swept everybody up on one big gang sweep and locked everybody up who's close to these gang members for just in case measures. No due process.
También, y no puede ser que la factura de esta relativa paz que depende de una tregua sea tan alta de perder nuestra democracia, derechos humanos, garantías constitucionales y sobre todo nuestra libertad y nuestra vida.
And here's the problem, though. It's like y'all needed a dictator, basically. It's kind of sad reality, but she said, oh, this goes against our human rights, our constitutions, our freedoms. This was wrong. But you guys following the stable course, though, you guys would have had the highest crime rate in the world, highest murder rate in the world. So, and here's the thing. I'm pretty sure it did probably go against some due process, some freedom, some rights and all that good stuff. But what happened in the end? Let's hear it out. War on gang.
All may seem well here on El Salvador's coast. The sea is warm. The beach.
Would you rather the liberals who are pretty much engaging, who are pretty much letting off these criminals? Because let's be real here. Bukele came in with an authoritarian hand and locked up all these guys. Before that, you guys ran by pretty much the gangs where people were getting killed all the time on a daily basis because of the gang violence. You guys had no way of solving that. And then y'all let Bukele come through here, authoritarian, solve it, and then pretend like most people are not going to be on his side. Like, I'm be real with you, it does seem like the old government of El Salvador failed. They failed their people, and they failed the democracy that they were supposed to uphold. At some point, y'all let violence get out of hand to a point where an authoritarian can come through and just be like, oh, yeah, this is great. At least he cleaned up crime. You see where when you let crime get out of hand, this is where you kind of give like way. You give way to more extreme versions of leadership. So those of you who are upset about Trump bringing in the Fed to DC or are threatening to bring it into Chicago, you should be mad at your Democratic leaders for letting crime get so bad to where an authoritarian, I wouldn't even call it an authoritative hand. I would say, but if you want to call it that, an authoritarian can come in and be the hero because you guys refuse to clean up your crime. That's y'all fault. That's not Trump's fault. That's y'all fault. Just like I'm going to blame the old El Salvadorian government. That was y'all fault for failing y'all people to the gang members. And now Bukele, a dictator, can come through and clean up crime and take all the credit. And now everybody's on his side. That's what y'all get. Like, why didn't y'all just clean up the crime? It sounds like there was a bunch of liberals running the place. They let things go to hell. And now they want to play. And now they want to cry, oh, authoritarian, dictator. Too late. Why didn't you spend more time protecting your people? Why was a dictator better at protecting the majority of El Salvadorians than y'all? Well, Paul, you're definitely mistaken. Now, if I was thinking in extremes, if you actually heard me correctly and not just hear what you want to hear, you would hear me say that, yo, this is what happens when you let one thing go too far to that extreme. When you let crime get too extreme, an extreme authoritarian can come in and fix an extreme situation. Now, everybody's okay with the dictator now. Everybody's okay with the authoritarian. I'm not saying I'm pro-authoritarian. I'm just saying that, yo, when you get to these extreme places of poverty and in crime, people will want anything. People are desperate for anybody to come through and make it better. They don't even care if it's a socialist, dictator, whatever. I think one of our best examples would be New York City, and everybody wanted to vote for Mandani. When you're put in a very shitty situation of poverty and crime, you want anybody who has a good tone, who's willing to fix the problem. You don't care what they're on. You just want the problem to be fixed. And that's what happens. When the problem gets too extreme, this is what happens. You get an authoritarian dictator. So this is my message to the Dems, because you can't sit there and bitch about, oh, Trump coming down on this when the people of your cities are literally saying, yo, we need help. The crime is getting out of control and you guys aren't helping us. This is where an authoritarian position can be taken, and people are more accepting towards authoritarian position because you left them in destitute. And that's the problem with a lot of Dems, is that you don't understand that you left your constituents in destitute. You left them alone to deal with all these crimes. And now that they want a more authoritarian position, you're bitching about it. You're calling them authoritarian, but they're the ones who are suffering from your lack of positions, from your lack of policies to help the problem. That's not being me pro-authoritarian. That's me understanding people. The same people that you refuse to understand that you think you know the best for. What?
For now, there are no plans to lift the state of emergency in El Salvador.
Yeah, I bet not. But all right, now let's get on to Venezuela. So shout out to our man Business Basics. He breaks this down pretty well. But let's get on to what's going on in Venezuela, and then we can close out for the night.
Now, there are 3 guided missile destroyers deploying off the coast of Venezuela.
Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro responding now by calling for a nationwide military enlistment and vowing to deploy millions of his own troops.
Hundreds of Venezuelans are answering President Nicolas Maduro's call to join the militia.
The U.S. is doubling its bounty for Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, now offering $50 million for his arrest.
It's all part of President Trump's plan to help combat drug cartels in Latin America.
A war between the United States and Venezuela is starting to look inevitable. And if this does break out, it could easily turn into the biggest and deadliest conflict of this decade. Trump has already mobilized at least 3 Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyers, a nuclear-powered attack submarine, and 3 amphibious assault ships carrying roughly 4,500 U.S. personnel, including some 2,200 battle-ready Marines.
Oh, shit.
Now sitting off the Caribbean coast of Venezuela.
Well, Trump did say he's going after the cartel, and he does accuse the President Maduro of being the leader of one of these cartels or being controlled by the cartel. So that makes sense.
Allegation, the Venezuelan president, Nicolas Maduro, went on state TV and called on the entire nation to mobilize. Not a few thousand troops, not even a few 100,000. He claimed he would put 4.5 million civilian members of the Bolivarian militia under arms. Yeah, you heard that right. 4.5 million people. That's nearly 15% of Venezuela's entire population, supposedly ready to fight and to defend the homeland. He's calling it a special plan to cover every inch of Venezuela with patriotic fighters, from beaches to the jungles, armed with rifles and even missiles. And just to put this into context, in 3.5 years of full-scale war, Russia has mobilized a little over 1 million troops. Venezuela, without even a war underway yet, is claiming it will mobilize 3 times that number. At the same time, Maduro's government has also banned all civilian drones. Because back in 2018, he survived an assassination attempt when an explosive-laden drone went off near him during a military parade. With the US being the most advanced military in the world when it comes to drones, you can see what Caracas is worried about. If this escalates, drone strikes are almost guaranteed to be a part of the fight. But why on earth are both of these nations going at each other this hard right now? Well, it all comes down to narco-trafficking, decades of bad blood, and yes, a whole lot of oil.
That's
so let's start with the most surreal fact, that there is literally a bounty on Venezuela's president. And not just any bounty, it's the highest publicly known reward ever offered by the U.S. government.
I mean, shit, man. $50 million? I ain't risking my life to go up against a whole bunch of cartel members for $50 million. I mean, you might want to add a B on there and maybe.
Washington has offered a $50 million reward for any information that could lead to Nicolas Maduro's arrest. To put that into perspective, Osama bin Laden, after 9/11, the most wanted terrorist on the planet, had half of that, just $25 million. According to Washington, Maduro is one of the world's biggest narco traffickers, probably the biggest. U.S. officials allege he's working hand in.
Oh, I'm low-key gonna kick you from the chat for just being an idiot, but yeah, it's like you're doing anything just to disagree with me, and it's not giving it a honest conversation. Because he said that's not the definition of pro-authoritarianism. You can be pro-authoritarian with different values. I mean, hold on. You were just jumping on me for being authoritarian, and then you didn't even get my exact definition of what authoritarian or where I'm going with it. No, you just assumed that I was authoritarian. And then because everybody in the chat is low-key grilling your ass, going like, well, how's he authoritarian? He was just explaining a position. Now you want to try to double down and look stupid. And then you want to call everybody dumb because everybody's calling out on your stupidity. And I'm going to be real with you. You're over judgment. I mean, I would say this. You were kind of too quick to judge, my friend. And now you're out here looking stupid. Now you're trying to call other people stupid. Bye.
Glove with drug cartels to flood the American market with fentanyl-laced cocaine. You see, cocaine is a stimulant. It floods the brain with dopamine, giving that sudden burst of euphoria, confidence, and energy. Fentanyl, though, it's the opposite. It's a synthetic opioid nearly 50 times stronger than heroin and 100 times stronger than morphine. Just 2 milligrams, something you could balance on the tip of a pencil, can kill a healthy adult. Cocaine revs up the body. Fentanyl shuts it down.
I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, I'm not really liking how he's positioning Venezuela to be this threat to America. I'm like, bro, we will Hiroshima their ass in a minute. It's like, it's not that. And who are they? They're not a superpower. They're not even one to destroy. Are they the strongest people in their region? Maybe. I doubt it though. But if Venezuela tried to bomb us, he's gonna get Hiroshima. Yeah, exactly. It's like we're gonna destroy their entire cities over that. If they even attack us on land, you can attack our soldiers, but if you attack American land, it's a wrap for you. And I wouldn't even want that for Venezuela because it'd be their so-called dictator forcing them into a conflict. But if he's able to get 1.4 million, guns into 1.4 million people's hands, then we might have a problem.
And when the two collide, the body has no idea how to respond. Heart racing, lungs slowing, brain misfiring, and then within minutes, breathing simply stops.
Yep.
That's why so many overdoses aren't really overdoses in the traditional sense. They're murder. Many people think they're doing a normal hit of cocaine, but in reality, they've just taken a lethal dose of fentanyl hidden inside. And the reason it keeps happening is because fentanyl is dirt cheap to produce. Cartels and street dealers slip it into cocaine, heroin, even counterfeit pills, because every microgram stretches the supply and fattens their profits. They know the risks. They know how little it takes to kill.
And they don't
for
care.
them, it's just a few extra bucks. Drug overdoses were already one of America's leading causes of death, claiming tens of thousands of lives every year. But fentanyl has turned that epidemic into something.
Here's the thing, though. It's like, I don't really get it because, like, y'all killing y'all clientele. I mean, what the hell? Like, I'm not really. Here's the thing. I think one of my friends was like, yo, I don't get the purpose of fentanyl and cutting it into drugs because you kill your clientele. Then who else you going to sell to? I mean, if you done killed all the crackheads in the city, then what? You're screwed. What you going to do? Move on to the next city until you kill all the addicts?
Something darker. And Venezuelan cartels are using it as a chemical weapon and profiting from the very deaths it causes. That's why Trump has been so fixated on this fight. To him, narcotics, especially fentanyl and cocaine, are the silent weapons destroying American communities. So, on day one of his return to office in January, he signed an executive order that basically put cartels in the same legal category as Al-Qaeda or ISIS. He directed his State Department to designate the most violent cartels and gangs across Latin America as foreign terrorist organizations. Labeling cartels as terrorists opens up the door for the U.S. to use the military and its intelligence agencies directly against them, with harsher penalties for anyone providing support. That means the U.S. military can officially act against them wherever these cartels operate, be it the Mexican mountains or the Venezuelan jungles. By February, 8 criminal organizations across the Western Hemisphere were formally designated as foreign terrorist organizations. Among them, Mexico's infamous Sinaloa and Jalisco cartels.
Yep.
The MS-13 gang from El Salvador. And yes, Venezuela's own Tren de Aragua. For Washington, Venezuelan traffickers are the biggest problem. For decades, U.S. officials have warned Caracas about the scale of drug shipments moving through its territory. And yet, every year, it's only gotten worse. So this August, the U.S. Attorney General doubled the bounty on Maduro, up to $50 million, citing evidence that he was actively colluding with Venezuela's own military-run drug cartel, the so-called Cartel de las Solas, or the Cartel of the Suns, as well as Mexico's Sinaloa cartel. Together, they're accused of flooding the U.S. with fentanyl-laced cocaine, which is exactly why you now see U.S. destroyers and Marines off of Venezuela's coast. Officially, the Pentagon is calling this latest naval buildup a counter-narcotics operation. But make no mistake, this is a serious show of force, not only for the cartels, but also for the nations that secretly support them. Those warships aren't just there to stop smugglers' boats. They can conduct electronic surveillance, gather intelligence, and if ordered, launch precision strikes from the sea. The U.S. is hitting Maduro from all sides. Putting that kind of money on a leader's head doesn't just stigmatize him internationally, it sows paranoia inside his own circle. Who's loyal? Who's tempted by those millions? Could a general or even a bodyguard flip on him? That kind of paranoia eats away at a regime from the inside. When Washington first indicted Maduro on narco-trafficking charges back in 2020, he laughed it off on TV, saying the accusations make me laugh, and dismissing them as a pretext for regime change. But that's exactly the point. It's about regime change. Since 2013, Maduro has clung to power through rigged elections, banning, jailing, or exiling nearly every opposition figure who would challenge him. But the bad blood between Washington and Caracas goes far beyond Maduro. He didn't just appear out of thin air. He was the hand-picked successor of Hugo Chavez, the firebrand socialist who took power in 1999. Chavez built his entire identity on being the anti-American revolutionary of the 21st century. In fact, in 2006, he stood at the UN podium, and here's what he had to say about the US President George W. Bush. And do you know what Bush had spoken about just a day earlier? Yeah, his speech had nothing to do with Chavez. It was about civilization versus terror, a call for unity against those who use terror as a weapon to create fear. Basically the same generic post-9/11 Bush message. But to Chavez, it felt like Bush was personally calling him out in front of everyone. You see, when Chavez rose to power in 1999, he pitched himself as the heir to Simón Bolívar, the liberator of South America. And he cast the United States as a modern empire, meddling in Latin nations. Almost immediately, his Bolivarian revolution clashed with U.S. oil interests. Remember, Venezuela has the largest proven oil reserves in the world.
Yeah, they playing
Chavez
soccer next
knew
to
the
it.
leverage that gave him. He poured billions of petrodollars into social programs that won him genuine popularity among Venezuela's poor. But he also weaponized oil as a geopolitical tool. He sold it at discounts to allies, used it to build influence in the region, and funneled profits into forging anti-US blocs. He deliberately strengthened ties with Fidel Castro's Cuba, courted Iran, Russia, and even Saddam Hussein's Iraq, at a time when Iraq was one of America's most bitter enemies. And of course, if you poke at a superpower's interests, they'll poke back. And that's exactly what the US did to him. In 2002, he faced a coup attempt. He and his supporters accused the Bush administration of having a hand in it. And while Washington denied any direct role, US officials had met with the coup plot.
I'm gonna be real with you. I could believe it. Yeah, I could believe that. I mean, like I said, if you're a government or a leader we don't like, trust me, we're spending money to get rid of you, covertly or overtly. We're doing it. We'll do it in your face or we'll do it behind your back with the use of the CIA.
Plotters beforehand, and the White House was quick to welcome Chavez's brief ouster. The problem for Washington was that Chavez wasn't gone forever. Just 2 days later, after a massive street protest and loyalists in the military rallying to him, he was back in the presidential palace, angrier and more convinced than ever. From that moment on, and for the rest of his presidency, Chavez blamed almost every problem he faced, whether it was economic chaos or street protests, on U.S. imperialism.
Wow.
It was his shield, his rallying cry, and the backbone of his Bolivarian revolution. When the U.S. invaded Afghanistan and Iraq, Chavez doubled down. He mocked Bush publicly, calling him Mr. Danger, and accused Washington of spreading terror under the banner of democracy. In return, Washington began treating Venezuela as a problem state. By 2005, the U.S. cut off arms sales, citing Venezuela's refusal to cooperate on counterterrorism and anti-drug efforts. In 2006, the same year as Chavez's infamous devil speech at the UN, the State Department officially declared Venezuela as a country failing its international counter-narcotics obligations. Thus began the sanctions era, and the bad blood never really cooled down after that. So by the time Nicolas Maduro inherited power in 2013, after Chavez's death from cancer, Venezuela was already on a collision course with the US. Under President Obama, the U.S. began imposing targeted sanctions on Venezuelan officials in 2015, citing human rights abuses and corruption. Obama even signed an executive order declaring Venezuela a national security threat, a necessary legal step that allowed even harsher measures. Then came Donald Trump's first term, which took this U.S.-Venezuela confrontation to a whole new level. Trump openly called Maduro a dictator, and he still refers to him that way to this day. He also refused to recognize Maduro's controversial re-election in 2018. Which was widely condemned as fraudulent. And in January of 2019, when Maduro swore himself in for another term, Washington officially recognized opposition leader Juan Guaidó as Venezuela's legitimate interim president. Washington threw its full weight behind Guaidó, the young head of Congress who had declared himself interim president during mass protests. Over 50 countries quickly followed the US's lead. It was an unprecedented diplomatic strike, an open attempt to strip Maduro of legitimacy and box his government into isolation on the world stage. The White House hoped that pressure, combined with Venezuela's street protests and collapsing economy, would push Maduro out. And for a brief moment, in April of 2019, it looked like that might happen. Guaidó and a handful of defecting officers tried to spark a military uprising in Caracas. Tanks rolled, crowds gathered, and for a few tense hours, it looked like a coup would finally throw him out. But the top military brass ultimately stayed loyal to Maduro, and by nightfall, the attempt had fizzled. Many in the United States wanted a direct military intervention, but Trump held it off. But he did wage an economic war instead. Starting in 2019, the US slapped Venezuela with crippling sanctions. The harshest came with an embargo on Venezuela's lifeblood, its oil. Washington froze Venezuela's US-based subsidiary oil company, Citgo, and cut off Maduro's access to its revenues, and barred American companies from trading Venezuelan crude. Allies were pressured to follow suit. Practically overnight, Venezuela lost its biggest customer, the United States, and found it nearly impossible to do business in dollars. This time, the goal was to starve the regime of cash, accelerate its collapse, and force Maduro out. The pressure did hurt. Venezuela's already shrinking economy went into a freefall. By 2020, millions of...
It looks like we backed him into a corner into working with the cartel. Not that it was like, let's be real, not that I would support it or I honestly understand his position in working with the cartel, but No, actually, never mind. I take that back. I kind of can. I can. If his back getting put against the wall, he's running out of money. I mean, where are other places where he can get absorbent amount of money on the status of, well, a country? And that's the cartel. I mean, let's be real. They do move largest amounts of drugs, which gains them large amount of money, and not just drugs as well, but other things like people and weapons.
Venezuelans had fled what became the largest refugee crisis in modern Latin American history. Hyperinflation, food shortages, blackouts, the country was collapsing. And yet, Maduro survived, thanks to the loyalty of his generals and the lifeline thrown by Russia, China, Iran, and Cuba, who showed him how to slip past U.S. sanctions via secret oil shipments, covert gold sales, and a maze of backdoor financial schemes. Lifelines that kept the regime afloat even as ordinary Venezuelans bore the cost. Frustrated, Trump's team turned to even more extreme measures. In March of 2020, the U.S. Justice Department decided to indict President Maduro and more than a dozen top Venezuelan officials on charges of narco-terrorism. The State Department offered a $15 million reward for information leading to Maduro's arrest or conviction. That was the first time Washington placed an official bounty on a sitting head of state in the Western Hemisphere. To Venezuelans, it felt surreal. Their sitting president was now formally wanted by U.S. courts, like a fugitive. Historically, Washington had only done this once before, against Panama's Manuel Noriega in the 1980s. And in that case, the U.S. eventually invaded. And indeed, Trump reportedly asked his military planners about the feasibility of a naval blockade. By April of 2020, the U.S. launched a massive enhanced counter-narcotics operation in the Caribbean and Eastern Pacific. Navy destroyers, AWACS surveillance planes, Coast Guard cutters, and helicopters were deployed under Southern Command. Within weeks, the Pentagon claimed over 100 metric tons of cocaine and marijuana seized, around 1,000 traffickers arrested, and an estimated $3 billion in revenue denied to cartels and Maduro's cronies. But after several weeks of these tense patrols and intelligence operations, the show of force quietly wound down. Ships were reassigned, assets pulled back, and then, just when things seemed to calm, came Operation Gideon in May 2020, something that sounds too crazy not to mention. If you're worried about how AI is changing everything, jobs, industries, education, even the economy, well, you're not alone. On the card on your screen. In early May, about 60 Venezuelan dissidents and a couple of American ex-soldiers tried to infiltrate Venezuela by sea, planning to capture Maduro himself. The mission was led by Jordan Goudreau, a Florida-based security contractor who claimed to have inked a deal with some opposition figures to topple the regime. They came ashore on fishing boats, only to be ambushed almost immediately. 8 insurgents were killed, dozens captured, including the 2 American ex-soldiers, both former Green Berets who are now imprisoned in Venezuela. Washington quickly denied involvement, and rightly so. The Associated Press had already exposed the plan days before, and U.S. officials had even warned Goudreau to abort the mission. But in the end, the incident was deeply embarrassing for the Venezuelan opposition, and gave Maduro a propaganda field day. He went on TV declaring it proof of U.S. plots, that Washington was conspiring to assassinate him and overthrow the revolution. By the end of Trump's first term in early 2021, Maduro was still standing. Juan Guaido's so-called interim government had never managed to govern anything, and over time, the opposition fractured. Many countries that once recognized him quietly pulled back when it became clear nothing was going to change. Venezuela kept limping through an economic catastrophe, with millions more citizens pouring into Colombia, Peru, Brazil, and beyond, creating a refugee crisis on par with Syria. And yet, Maduro survived, thanks to the loyalty of his generals, whom he kept close with privileges, and thanks to lifelines from Russia, China, Iran, and Cuba. Then Joe Biden took office. He didn't like Maduro any more than Trump did. He still called him a dictator and left the core sanctions in place. But Biden preferred negotiation to brute pressure. His administration opened back-channel talks, hoping to restore at least some semblance of democracy. And when Russia invaded Ukraine in March of 2022, everything changed. Suddenly, Washington faced an oil crunch. Russian crude was sanctioned, supply was cut, and the world needed another source. And wouldn't you know it, Venezuela has the largest oil reserves on Earth. So Biden took a gamble. In March of 2022, senior U.S. officials flew quietly to Caracas to meet Maduro, the first high-level talks in years. The U.S. wanted to...
Of course, Biden. So while prices were getting out of control, he's like, know what? Maybe we can work with this cartel-led world leader, and maybe we can get oil prices down if we just work the cartel a bit. Like, damn it, Biden.
Explore easing oil sanctions if Maduro offered political concessions. Washington's hope was to pry him away from Putin and maybe get Venezuelan oil flowing again to stabilize global markets. Maduro, sensing leverage, rolled out the red carpet. He smiled, he posed for photos with the envoys in Miraflores Palace, something unthinkable just a year earlier. But in the end, Maduro had extreme demands. He wanted all sanctions lifted and recognition of his presidency, but the US wanted free elections, the release of political prisoners, and a real democratic process. So yeah, not much progress was being made. Still, the ice was broken. As a goodwill gesture, Venezuela released 2 detained Americans in March of 2022. Later, in October of 2022, Maduro freed 7 more US citizens, including oil executives from Citgo, in exchange for the release of 2 of his wife's nephews. The pair, known as the narco nephews, had been convicted in a US court for trying to smuggle nearly a ton of cocaine. By late 2022, the US was experimenting with a different approach. The Biden administration granted Chevron, America's last remaining oil major in Venezuela, a limited license to restart pumping and exporting crude. Washington wanted to see if easing some sanctions might bring Maduro's government to the negotiating table. For Venezuela, desperate for cash and markets, it was a lifeline. For the US, it was leverage. For a brief moment, Maduro even softened his tone. Instead of rallying against Yankee imperialism, he talked about investment, cooperation, and reconciliation. US officials hinted that if Venezuela made real moves towards a free 2024 presidential election, more sanctions relief might follow. For the first time in years, there was a faint glimmer that Venezuela's crisis could find an off-ramp through negotiations rather than war or collapse. The carrot of...
Yeah, but Biden only did it to get the oil. He didn't really do it to try to stop the crime. He didn't do it to stop the drugs or anything. No, well, not the crime, but yeah, he really wasn't trying to stop the drug trade. He was just trying to find a way out of these high drug prices that he kind of got us into.
Sanctions relief was on the table. Whether
You know what? At least he tried. At least he tried. He may have been trying to work with basically the cartel, but at least he tried.
Would ever truly bite remained the unanswered question. But by 2024, that hope slowly died on its own. Talks between Maduro and the opposition stagnated, and no one seriously believed he'd risk power in a fair vote. And indeed, when election season came, his regime banned the most popular opposition candidates and stage managed the contest on its own terms. Not surprisingly, by late 2024, Maduro declared victory for another term. Reports said the vote was neither free nor fair. Opposition leaders were still in jail or exile. The media was muzzled, and the Electoral Commission was firmly in government hands. The Electoral Authority announced his win, but never fully released results. The opposition claimed their stand-in candidate had actually won, and a large part of the international community backed those claims. But it didn't matter. By January of 2025, Maduro was sworn in again. The US, with Trump back in the White House, flatly refused to recognize Maduro's victory, just as it had rejected his 2018 re-election. In Washington's eyes, Maduro remained an illegitimate dictator, who's clung to power through sham elections and repression. Any goodwill earned during the 2022-2023 truce evaporated and set the stage for an even more confrontational United States. Trump 2.0 wasted no time. And this was the moment when he finally recognized 8 Latin American criminal groups as foreign terrorist organizations, including Venezuela's own Tren de Aragua. Until recently, Tren de Aragua was little known outside the region. Born about a decade ago inside a Venezuelan prison, Tren de Aragua morphed into a massive transnational crime syndicate. They engaged in everything. Drug dealing, human trafficking, extortion, you name it. Tren de Aragua spread its tentacles into Colombia, Brazil, Peru, and even into the US via migrant routes. US authorities say Tren de Aragua's members have been turning up in various US cities, piggybacking on the waves of desperate Venezuelan migrants fleeing their country. This fits perfectly with Trump's border agenda of cracking down on the gangs and tightening the border. He repeatedly tied Venezuela's collapse to the surge of migrants arriving at the US southern border. By blaming communist dictators and cartels for pushing that wave north, he framed tougher border controls and stricter enforcement as not just immigration policy, but as national security. Maduro's government, for its part, insists Washington has no evidence, claiming the US simply wants regime change to control Venezuela's oil. Caracas claims that most illicit fentanyl flooding the US comes from Mexican cartels using Chinese precursor chemicals, not Venezuela. And technically, Venezuela isn't a major fentanyl producer. What it is, though, is a convenient transit route for Colombian cocaine. And that's where the US's case against Maduro sharpens. Now, that being said, there's plenty of circumstantial evidence that Maduro's inner circle, possibly Maduro himself, has been knee-deep in the drug trade. Over the years, multiple Venezuelan generals, including a former defense minister and ex-head of military intelligence, have been indicted by US prosecutors or caught abroad in trafficking plots. Even the term cartel of the suns comes directly from the network of Venezuelan generals. In the Venezuelan military, high-ranking officers wear sun-shaped insignias on their shoulder epaulets to mark their rank. Over time, investigators noticed that many of the officers accused of smuggling cocaine and running protection rackets were the ones with those suns on their uniforms. That's how the nickname stuck, the Cartel of the Suns, a reference to both their military rank and their role in moving tons of cocaine through Venezuela. And then there's the family connection that I mentioned earlier. In 2015, two of Maduro's own relatives, the nephews of his wife, Celia Flores, were arrested in a DEA sting in Haiti, caught trying to move 800 kilos of cocaine.
You know, I mean, that's like adding an extra C to the CIA. It's like the CCA, the Central Cartel Intelligence Agency. Could you imagine? Can you imagine if they were just that honest?
They were convicted in U.S. federal court and served years behind bars before being swapped in 2022. Can anyone seriously believe the president didn't know his own family was in the trade? Even Venezuela's state-owned airport has been linked to trafficking attempts tied to the presidential family. And if that isn't rot at the very top of the regime, then what is? Which is why, once those cartels were labeled as terrorist organizations, and with Maduro accused of leading, or at least protecting them, the U.S. could use harsh measures.
Hey, nah, my man was iced out in that picture. I'm crying. This boy is iced out.
And with Maduro accused of leading, or at least protecting them, the U.S. could use harsh measures, even the threat of force, as morally justified against his regime. After all, who's going to stand up in defense of a narco-terrorist dictator? It also sidesteps the thorny sovereignty issue. If you can convince the world that your target isn't a legitimate head of state, but a mafia boss in presidential clothing, someone whose network is killing nearly 100,000 Americans a year, then operations to nab him don't look like invasions, they look like law enforcement. The US played that exact card in 1989. When General Manuel Noriega of Panama was indicted on drug charges, President George H.W. Bush sent in 27,000 troops in Operation Just Cause. They toppled Noriega, dragged him to Miami, and he spent the rest of his life shuttling between prison cells. Washington would love nothing more than to run that playbook again, this time with Maduro. Lastly, being tough on Venezuela plays extremely well in Florida, home to a huge community of Venezuelan exiles and Cuban Americans who loathe socialism. Maduro, of course, is selling a very different story. To him, this is Yankee imperialism 2.0, the same old plot to seize Venezuela's oil and install a puppet regime. And yes, it's impossible to ignore oil in this story. For much of the 20th century, Venezuela was one of America's top oil suppliers. But under Chavez and Maduro, and especially after U.S. sanctions, that crude has increasingly...
Maduro ain't wrong. I mean, yeah, he ain't wrong. We are trying to, getting your oil would be nice. Getting you out of power would be nice. But then also stopping the drug trade would be nice as well. So there's really 3 reasons. But he's not wrong. We do want him out of there. We want him out of there and we want the oil. So he's not wrong.
Gone elsewhere. China, India, and through shadowy illicit channels designed to dodge sanctions. At its peak in the late 1990s, Venezuela pumped over 3 million barrels per day. By 2013, it was still around 2.3 million. But by 2020, output had collapsed to barely 500 to 800,000 barrels a day. More recently, it's roughly averaging around 800 to 900,000 barrels per day in 2023 through 2025. The industry is devastated. Only 1 or 2 drilling rigs are active in the whole country, versus more than 80 rigs a decade ago. Even if sanctions vanished tomorrow, Venezuela couldn't flood the market overnight. It would take years of investment to rebuild. Nonetheless, in a world hungry for oil and where prices have been volatile, especially with Russia's war and OPEC's moves, Venezuela's oil is an immense prize. Both the US and China, and others, know this. For the US, getting Venezuelan oil back into the Western supply chain would be a major win. Better to have it flowing to global markets than tied up in shady, sanctioned deals with...
Bro, are you telling me? I'm talking about we probably see gas prices at least go down to like $2. Maybe that 188 that Trump had it at, maybe. But that would only happen if we increase our supply of oil. You know, you increase the supply, you lessen the scarcity, that brings down the price. But if you increase the scarcity of such an item, it brings up the price tremendously sometimes, depending on if we're in a war or not.
China, or left underproduced by a chaotic regime. And that's exactly why, today, the only real lifelines propping up Venezuela are China and Russia, keeping Maduro's government afloat.
Like, you know what sucks, man? I'm old enough to where when I was young, gas was like still $1. 99 cents. I ain't old enough to where gas was like, 89 or 79 cents. No, I'm old to where gas was 99 cents. And I'm like, damn. Now that I grow up, when I grew up, gas is now like like $2 or so. And I'm just thinking like, damn, it doubled.
When much of the world has shut its doors. Beijing has poured tens of billions into Venezuela over the past 15 years, mostly in oil-backed loans that Caracas struggles to repay. A private Chinese company just signed a 20-year deal to produce 60,000 barrels a day by 2026, investing over $1 billion. Russia's Rosneft has also invested, often helping Caracas sell oil under the radar. So when the US suddenly beefed up its military presence off of Venezuela's coast, Beijing was none too happy. China's energy security depends on a handful of suppliers. Venezuela is one of them. That's why Beijing quickly issued a public warning, denouncing the US buildup and insisting that no country should use, or even threaten to use, force in Venezuela's internal affairs.
Oh, the same guys that's trafficking fentanyl to these guys that are also trafficking it into our country, I bet you would have a problem.
Sensing an opportunity, Maduro started flaunting his friendship with China more than ever. In a recent speech at a teachers' congress, he randomly whipped out a new Huawei smartphone and claimed it was a personal gift from China's president Xi Jinping, saying he can now talk to Brother Xi via satellite phone whenever he wants. With a grin, Maduro even did a goofy "Ni hao, xie xie," which means hello, thank you, in Mandarin into the phone. It was indeed goofy, but still a message that China has its back. Just this past week, China's ambassador in Caracas met with Maduro to celebrate progress in their partnership. Maduro himself boasted on social media about advances in economy, science, technology, and artificial intelligence, along with what he called Venezuela's sister China. But then again, realistically
As long as you cuck out the China, everything's all good, I guess.
speaking, China's support, while real, has limits. After barely weathering Trump's tariff war, and with its own economy struggling to regain momentum, China has no appetite for a direct clash with Washington over Venezuela. So yeah, China will strongly oppose U.S. intervention in principle, protest diplomatically, and perhaps quietly boost trade with Venezuela, but they won't physically intervene on Venezuela's behalf.
Yeah.
As for Russia, well, that's pretty obvious.
Nope.
Moscow is bogged down in Ukraine, bleeding resources and focus. But Russia also has military cooperation with Venezuela. In past years, they've sent bombers to land in Caracas, run joint exercises, and Moscow has an interest in poking the U.S. where it can. Right now, Russian officials might privately...
All right, guys. I guess that's enough time we have for today. I'm going a bit over. But hey, man, I appreciate you guys for tuning in, man. Make sure you guys double tap that screen, like the video, and subscribe to the channel. And also make sure to hit that bell for any notification when I drop a video, clip, or I'm going live again. All right, guys, I'll see you once again. We're going to do 3 a.m. tomorrow. Yes, 3 a.m. tomorrow. All right, guys, appreciate the support. This is S.E.T with S.E.T Media, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Be safe out there and have a good morning, guys. Today, modern AI is quite advanced, except 2 problems. It is censored and it takes your information. Well, it's hard to find a tech company that don't, but let me introduce you to one. Shout out to my sponsor, Venice AI, which allows you to protect your information and avoid censorship. Now ask yourself, why should a team of programmers at these leading AI apps be the ones to decide what is okay for you to ask and think? Also, would you be comfortable if the presidential administration could govern what AI tells you? Man, I know I wouldn't. But also, while you think about that, did you know that, let me tell you this, it's gonna be crazy, but ChatGPT has a former director of the NSA sitting on their board right now, guys. And shout out to that man, Edward Snowden. He called this a willful, calculated betrayal of the rights of every person on Earth. And we all know how Alexa is. Alexa listens to us and recommends products based on our conversations. I mean, talk about a violation of privacy. But guys, these are just a few reasons I decided to team up with Venice AI and get you a better options or solutions to your AI needs. Now, guys, you can go ahead and check these guys out with my promo code. So shout out to Venice AI. Now, if you want to use AI without fear of handing over your most intimate thoughts to a corporation or government, you can get 20% off a pro plan using my link, Venice AI S.E.T, and use the code S.E.T. Man, so shout out, guys. So make sure you guys use the code. Put it one more time for you guys right there. Once again, guys, if you guys want to go ahead and have unleashed AI, uncensored AI, go ahead and tap in with my guys at Venice AI, guys. Hey, this is S.E.T and appreciate the support. And shout out to the sponsor.